Oh, this is welcome to 2023. If no one has said it yet, you've made it, and I'm thrilled you're here with us. Today, we've got a really cool, exciting, fun episode planned. We are going to talk about compliments, words of affirmation as a love language. And I know that for some of us neurodivergent people, it is very much a foreign concept. So some people have it as their primary love language, and for many of the rest of us, including myself, it's like, what is this language you speak of? Is there like a translator somewhere that I can use? Now, I've actually had experience with this because in the education program, they teach teachers, at least the one I went to, it was a great program. They really did go over all the love languages as part of the curriculum to teach teachers how to communicate with students of all backgrounds, all kinds of thought, and including compliments. So today, I definitely plan to share everything I learned in the education program on this. But we definitely are hoping everyone else will have things to contribute because this is in our family. Compliments are not really much of a thing for a variety of reasons. So this is not necessarily my wheelhouse. So to help me today, there is the fantastic Tom, the amazing Carrie, and the absolutely genius Stephanie. Yay! Hey, folks.
Howdy, howdy. Yeah, this is definitely going to be these are skills I learned as an adult, not as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But
and that
also,
kind of makes sense because being neurodivergent, part of one of the hallmarks of neurodivergency is like difficulties communicating with neurotypical people as well as other neurodivergent people. So communication does not come instinctively easy necessarily. And so it's something to keep in mind that like what you think is a compliment, someone else may not. And so it's important to do the thing that I learned in sales. The fortune is in the follow up. Follow up with people and make sure that they actually feel it was a compliment rather than the dreaded backhanded compliment. Or as my father called it, Rex Harrison is the king of backhanded compliments. Have you ever seen Rex Harrison?
I had a friend refer to backhanded compliments as complissalts.
Yes. And what's her name who wrote Bridget Jones' Diary? Called them jellyfish. They're just floating by and then they sting you. And then they keep floating by like nothing happened. And if you try to touch them, they'll sting you again. So it's like, it's one of those things. And I think all of these are kind of interesting ways to really discuss both the positive and the potentially toxic side of compliments and words of affirmation because they, the target does, you don't always hit the target you meant to. But also then some people specifically mean not to hit the target, so to speak. So I figure we should talk about all of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give it a go. It's either that or we talk about the weather, y'all. It's 77 degrees here.
It's 73 and possibly a thunderstorm coming. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the storm's coming to you first before us.
Yeah.
We're not going to get the storm till this afternoon, evening.
Okay.
49 and gloomy.
Does it really
You're
say gloomy?
cold wherever you're at, Carrie. Man.
I'm looking at it out my window. It's very cloudy and just bleh.
Yeah. It's blah, blah, blah. Hello, CB. How goes the hiatus?
Yeah, we're supposed to be like not on social media for a bit.
I thought so.
Okay, I thought maybe my memory is failing me.
No, that's what I thought too. That's why I was like, how goes the hiatus? Huh? What do I know?
Monday shows don't count.
Monday shows don't count.
Definitely.
What were you saying?
Well, the part, like the big lesson it took for me to forever to really learn / unlearn is in my childhood, all the compliments I tended to hear, I now recognize were, if they were genuine compliments, they tended to be compliments more for my parents than for me,
Mm.
even though they were saying to me like it was a good thing. So,
Such as?
if you compliment somebody's genetics, if you compliment, like sometimes actually, as my parents were there, they would compliment him. Oh, look, he's so well behaved. You're such a well behaved person. Essentially complimenting my parents' raising of me. Or physical traits I have no control over. What lovely blue eyes.
Mm.
All this stuff versus compliments that are genuine and authentic to someone about them is stuff they have choices over. That is what is a real compliment. So the way someone has styled their hair, if they obviously took some effort to put it into that, thing, their choice of clothing, their stance, even their facial expressions can be, real compliments about choices that person's making, or the way they communicate, especially when like they're good at giving directions versus so many people who are not. If you go to our Discord, I think I posted under something awesome. Jim Varney in the 90s did a video about hunting safety. It's this 30-minute video in, earnest style with all the other characters, namely Bubba, who wears a bright pink deerstalker hat labeled Bubba, showing all the wrong ways to be, to go out hunting with someone, let alone to be a hunter, including the worst directions you've ever heard. Just like don't give directions like this. But like the thing that I had to learn and practice is compliments that ones people like receiving are about their choices. So you don't just compliment somebody's physique, but it can be a good compliment if they are exercising or changing their nutrition to get an effect on themselves. Or even, wow, you look so rested today. How's is the sleep going better? Of those, that's the compliments people love to hear. When you say, oh, your hair's so pretty, I love the curls and stuff. Like, if they're just born that way, it's not really a compliment to them. That's just the roll of the dice they got.
My husband
hair compliments can. Oh
no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Hair compliments can be a choice. My mom went to a church event with us a couple weeks ago, and she's finally embracing the gray instead of dyeing it all the time. And she got so many compliments. Oh my gosh, your hair looks so good. I love that color. And she's like, I'm just letting it grow out. Thanks.
But see how like that compliment doesn't hit well with her. She's not really like, thanks, I did it on purpose. She's just like, hi, it grows this way. Versus if you did dye your hair, say an ombre, then complimenting that, obviously that person went to the trouble to get their hair in that, series of colors. Like they sat in a chair for hours probably. So saying, oh my God, that ombre color looks great on you. That is a compliment towards something they chose to do versus a roll of the genetic dice that they didn't really have control over. Hey, Jules. Hey, Megan.
My mom doesn't always know how to receive compliments about her appearance too. I'm the same way.
But but note, a lot of them
they're about something you can't control versus, oh, that shirt looks adorable. Thanks, I chose it.
Or where did you find that? That is such a fun shirt or pants or whatever. Then there is a conversation you're opening. because you're showing genuine interest in their choices. But did want to get back before we go too much further. Like Stephanie, you were saying about your husband.
Oh yeah. So okay, my hair, it's thick and it's straight most of the time, unless I'm in Texas. Then I got this volume and this curl going on. Okay.
The
so
humidity.
Humidity is real.
He's like, I really like your curls. Well, I don't, but thank you for saying. And at this point, it's just a running joke because he knows I don't like my curls.
Yeah.
My son was like, well, if Dad likes your curls, are you going to perm your hair? And I said, never again in my life am I ever going to perm my hair. Because I did it one time and it like came out. And you could really see the blackness I have in me. That it came out in my hair. It was not a good look on me at all. But yeah, he likes to compliment my curls because he says they look good, and I guess they do to an extent when they're on purpose. Sometimes I'm like, okay, if they're going to be curly today, it's fine. Most of the time, I just try to comb it out.
And also note, it is that set of compliments and situation is from a close person, and it's also that compliment is also is also in part used to tell Stephanie in this case that other people would probably also like it in this look. So be aware if you are trying to make an impression on someone else. Here's part of a look that can work for you. Even if, I know you don't care for it, but I want you to know it does work for you.
Right.
But like a person on the street probably should steer clear of that, of like commenting on something a person cannot necessarily control, such as their body, if their hair looks naturally that way, that as well, versus if it's very obviously they went to trouble and paid money, whether we're talking about there's a purple finish on their hair or it's this really interesting cut, like that, they obviously did not come out of the womb with like a lower buzz. So if you want to compliment that, that's something they chose to do versus it's just here. I have no control. I'm glad you like it. I don't, like, I know I feel the same way.
I've actually found myself lately, like we'll be walking around and then they're mainly girls because girls are the ones that are doing it, like have shirts with sassy sayings on them or some kind of quote on there. And I'll be like, oh, I like your shirt. And they seem surprised. But now I think I've done it enough in the area I'm at that people are like, oh, she just likes complimenting shirts. And like, Jess, did you see her shirt? He goes, I'm not looking at her shirt. My husband, he's like, I'm not looking at her shirt in front of you. I'm not looking at her shirt at all. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess it'd be weird if you're my husband and you looked at someone's chest and said, hey, I like your shirt. That's the words are written across their boobs. So I get that he's not going to say that.
I don't know. I think if somebody's got words across their boobs, they want someone to read those.
Right, exactly. And
like,
then,
hence, like Tom has gone up to people, like on the street, go, what does your shirt say? And they'll like pull it out, like, how you unwrinkle it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Read it. He's like, oh, nice one. And walk on. Like, they like that compliment versus just gawking at someone's chest. Rude. Like,
right.
But like, if you're like looking at someone's chest because you're trying to read what their shirt says or figure out what is this an image of? I can't tell because of the wrinkle.
Well, yeah, because my husband really likes, I'm like, it's not any different than people looking at your shirt that has all the sassy sayings on them from his point of view. He's like, yes, but I don't got the boobs, so it's different. Yeah, he likes wearing like shirts that say like, if I ever die, unplug me and plug me back in, see if I turn back on. Because he's an IT, so it's IT joke. Or the latest shirt I got him was, it might be offensive to some people, but it said, you don't shut up, I'm going to take my prosthetic legs off and beat you with them. And it has pictures of prosthetic legs because he's a double amputee. So in his opinion, it's funny and not offensive because he's wearing it. But like if I wore it, I don't think people would find it funny if I wore it because, I don't have that issue.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't have prosthetics, and so it gets awkward.
Yeah.
I like Megan's comment.
We're both clicky. Saw a woman in this gorgeous dress. Like, she took my breath away. She was so gorgeous. And I had to compliment her. That dress looks amazing on you. She looks so pleased. I got it on sale.
My mom had a dress that she wore for my sister's wedding. It was either the actual wedding or maybe one like the bridal shower. She got it for like $5.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cute on her, and everybody was complimenting. And she's like, "You have no idea how cheap it is, and it has pockets."
It has pockets.
Yes. I love dresses that have pockets.
Me too.
Also, shirts and other items with writing and memes on them are also a good way to find and start friendships, because it gives a opener / it tells other people about your own interests. So like, I was working at a school for a year or two, and I worked with the elementary kids, and they it was fun. I did computer fixes and all that, so they were always happy to see me because I made the computers work again. And Glory started looking for shirts so they could say compliments to me / ask me questions and stuff. And so like one I was reminded of that I have that truly is a great, meme / how's your movie knowledge?
Here, hold it up higher. No. Up.
What is the
Just
bottom?
pull it up. Pull it up.
Come
on. There we go. Miracle Mac's Old Time Sandwich Shop. Mutton, lettuce, and tomato. We can't quite see the fine print because you're blur, Tom.
What is that say? Like, it is hard for me to... Oh. They're so perky, you'll love it.
That's it, yeah. Like, if you know this movie, you know exactly the reference.
Shirts are a great way to kind of signal to other people about your geekdoms. And
or like, Tom's actually been asked, where is this shop? Tom has to then explain it's a movie reference.
Or like, I think we posted pictures, the kilt I wear around when it's cooler, is another thing that people really like to often compliment on. Like I haven't really had any negative responses to it. They're always just like, that looks really good on you. And if anything, surprise. And this is all stuff we learned from Glory. You want to talk about?
So Leo Lowndes wrote a book. Let me find which one. And it was literally how to start conversations with people, which at the time in my early 20s, there it is, I did not feel confident about starting conversations with strangers. I felt very shy, very self-conscious, and like just painfully socially awkward. So here's the book. Check and see if your local library has it. Highly recommend. There's also an audio version. How to Talk to Anyone, 92 Little Tricks for Big Success in Relationships. And it's 92 genius ways to start up conversations, but you don't have to start all the conversations. So that's those are like the 17 things that I actually highlighted in the book, was how to get other people, strangers, to start conversations with me. And so one of her big ones was, you need a doodad. You need something on you that is so interesting or eye-catching that somebody, if they want to have a conversation with you, immediately knows, hey, I could say something about the doodad. And it really works. Cashiers will say something, and everybody, people on the street will say, if you have a doodad, quote unquote, something interesting about your outer appearance, then they will say, oh, I like that, or that looks cool. And then from there, you can start up a conversation. So I highly recommend this book. I've made my whole family listen to the audiobook or read the book, and it helps everybody with their social skills. Because let's be honest, cold conversations are the hardest. Like honestly, dental work is less painful than a cold conversation. I said it. I know what I said. So that is the book that kind of inspired my entire sales career, because in sales, it's nothing but cold conversations. Like, so what a cold conversation is you're having a conversation. You need to have a conversation with somebody you don't even know their name. It's a cold, like a cold open. It's a cold conversation. You have no idea who they are, what their interests are, or if they would even be welcoming of your conversation. But you need to start one up. How do you do it? And so I was looking for ways, and I came across her book, and I ordered it used. And I liked it so much, I went and ordered the audiobook as well. And then I my whole family, we all listened to that.
Although really, all of Lil Lounge's books are all highly recommended.
Are great.
Because they're not creepy, they're not cringy.
And she does have a lot in that book. There's like a tremendous amount of advice on how to give compliments. And in it, she specifically states, do not compliment people like on their body shape or size, unless you know for a fact that they've been working out or they've been on a new fitness regimen. But if you don't know, do not say jack about their body ever. If they say something, you can then go, oh yes, now that you say something, I see what you're saying. But you don't go beyond. You don't say jack about people's bodies, because people are very self-conscious. And the whole point of Lil Lounge's book was so that you could have conversations and establish relationships with essentially strangers or people that you know of, but you want a relationship with them. Like whether it's business or personal or friendship, you know of them, but you don't know them. And so how do you do that? And Lil Lounge's entire book is essentially how to do this without being a creepy stalker. And highly recommend. But yeah, she had all this advice on compliments. She had all this advice on how to get people to talk to you. So it really essentially, I thought I was an introvert. And that is how I learned I was actually an extrovert. Because I used to think I was an introvert because I felt so awkward and embarrassed about talking to people, especially out in public, or just, I even felt embarrassed about talking to people I knew. Like, I just felt so awkward. I felt like I was a burden to everybody I ever tried to have a conversation with. And Lil Lounge had so much really good, easy to follow advice. Did I make flashcards for myself? Yeah, you bet I did. I literally made flashcards. So I could remember all her wonderful tips, because she does them in a really nice sort of magazine style in the book. That I found that once I had these social skills, I love talking to people. I love talking to strangers. I love talking to strangers about anything. I love talking to people I know about anything. I love telling stories. But Lil Lounge really was a major part of me coming out of my shell and realizing I am an extrovert, much to the chagrin of the rest of my family, who are all still introverts. That I'm the one who, I get a lot of energy off of having meaningful conversations with people. But I did not know that until I had the social skills necessary to be able to navigate that.
And part of that is
it's helpful for introverts too.
Wearing signifiers of things about you that you are proud of, would like other people to know, and so is perfectly appropriate to compliment. So, like, another thing Leo brings up, and is great, yes, is very useful in sales, but also just useful in developing friendships and finding potential new friends. Buttons you can wear with specific things that indicates. So whether that's, like the current one of, what's your queer flag, and just even having anyone tells everyone else that you are part of that community, even if the flag you're wearing is no, I'm just straight, it's okay, but it does show you don't have a problem with that. Wearing buttons about your favorite geekdoms. Glory has a few really fun little buttons with Doctor Who stuff to kind of suss out the very, very, very few Doctor Who people in this wide open area. There's
none. There's 5 people
in your area. There's not many
in all of South Mississippi who watch Doctor Who, and Tom and I are 2 of the 5. I know one other person, but she married a Nazi, so obviously Doctor Who didn't work well on her.
Yeah.
And one I've met on Tinder, but he's not a good conversationalist.
Yeah, as Spence points out, buttons and pins are in real life hashtags for people.
So what I started doing after Lil Lounge's book was I started going to thrift stores and buying brooches. Anything that looked cool that was cheap as hell. So holiday brooches, any holiday. Anything that looked cool so I could put it on so that if somebody wanted to talk to me, they could say, oh, what a lovely brooch, or that's such a pretty flower, or whatever, the brooch was. So people could start a conversation with me. And again, it's just something that I added to my clothing repertoire. The side effect was people think I'm so stylish, but I'm really just trying to give people a way to talk to me because I am still shy. I know here on this channel, people are like, Lori's shy. But when I'm out in public with people I don't know versus I know all of y'all, and I know all of y'all have shared interests with me, even like new people come in the chat. I know that you are not here, to talk about marble sporting. I don't know. Maybe regular racing. Football necessarily. Although I do like football, but I'm just saying, like, I know you're here to talk about writing or social skills, life skills, neurodivergency. I know like what you're here for. And I know that y'all are all cool fruits. We can have a conversation. But out in the public, I have no idea who these people are. And I live in MAGA country. So I definitely don't feel like I could just immediately start up a conversation with just anybody and it necessarily be a good experience.
And remember, like,
having ways for people to start a conversation with me, it starts weeding out a lot of people who essentially are not feeling sociable for sure.
And here's another piece of human psychology that's good to keep in mind and why we want to create the opportunities for positive interactions. Survival skill says anything negative could, stop us from procreating. So it's got a disproportionate effect. And in psychology studies, they see somewhere between a 5 to 8 time ratio of, for every negative situation you're in, for it to feel like an average day, you need between 5 and 8 positive situations to occur to equal out that one negative. And so if you're in Glory's situation, where the more than 50% chance is if you start a conversation with someone, you're probably going to end up at a negative because you disagree so much.
Yes, I'm very liberal.
That's
Then
why
it becomes
retail
difficult.
was so hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes difficult to start a conversation because most of them are going to end up poor. So having these little signifiers on you to very quickly identify you, or as Spence put it, have little IRL hashtags on you, helps smooth these conversations. Also, when they have stuff that gives some kind of indicator, so whether it's their hair is an odd color, or if they've gone to the effort of ombre, or the fashion they're wearing, or the shirts that have different memes and cultural events on them, they help ease that possibility that this will be a good situation. Because we're human, we are risk averse, and finding the kind of compliments and conversation starters that lead well is part of this. So many of in media you see of those negative social faux pas are often because somebody is complimenting something someone has no choice on, or is not something they're going for. So, for me, the most famous, because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, is asking a woman when she's due that you have never met before. Of like, that's not a compliment. That's not a conversation starter. That's a judgment.
I have had older ladies ask me that several times in my life. I have never been pregnant. I have said so. It's like, why? Why would you go up to a stranger and ask when they're due? Why would you do that? The second time it happened, I then asked that. Why would you go up to a stranger, someone you don't know, and asked that, why are you wanting to buy me like little baby clothes? The woman just stuttered and just Roomba'd away.
Because we were told that we were supposed to be socially engaging, but we weren't always given the tools. And so you see these remnants in people in the way they approach the world. And you see, like, that woman was not actually trying to be, necessarily negative, but the result was. And so, like, that's part of what we wanted to do. That's about compliments and positive interactions, and how do you do words of affirmation?
I think that's what makes like going to like conventions and Renaissance fairs and those kind of things so much fun, because everybody is like, if you're dressing up for those events, you put work into those costumes, your hair, your makeup, whatever you're doing. And then it's also thousands of people with a common interest. So that's automatically something there.
Yeah.
And then
that's what I love going to festivals and things. Everybody's there for a good time. Nobody's there to be grumpy on a park bench unless they were brought by their parents. Let's be honest. We've seen all those kids grump around on a park bench, teenagers in particular. But if you look nearby, you will see a concerned parent who's trying to give that child space. And you could always go up and go, they're there. It's just a phase. I bet if you got an ice cream cone or something, they might feel better. And then walk on. But again, you can have that conversation because you know why everybody's at the festival. To have a good time. And here is the teenager who feels they were dragged there. So.
But yeah, and especially when you're neurodivergent, it's hard to communicate even these regular life lessons, even if your parents might have known it, or even if they had a hard earned trying to. I know my parents tried to get me to understand this, and they did not have the words most of the time to kind of get this concept across. I was a very slow learner on this.
And that's a hallmark of neurodivergence is, so in the public, the term is stubborn. I'm not saying that's accurate because it's not, but that is like, I'm trying to give translations for, so what I mean by that is a lot, not all neurodivergent people, but the majority, their mirror cells in their brain, either they do not have as many by the time they're adults, or the development of their mirror cells is on its own schedule and is definitely not following the neurotypical development of mirror cells in the brain. So what mirror cells are, and if you think about it, it'd be easy to remember, is if I am holding a cup while we are talking, most neurotypical people, the mirror cells will fire in their brain and they will feel a desire to hold a cup to mirror with me as long as they are also enjoying what we are talking about and what I'm saying. Because they will feel an instinctive desire to mirror the body language of the other person. And that is how, as human beings, we often start feeling like we're bonding with people. Is the other person starts mimicking our own body language and we start feeling a low desire to also mimic theirs. But with neurodivergent people, especially young people like children, the development of the mirror cells in their brain may be delayed. It may be developing, maybe it developed very early or developed much later than neurotypical children. And so when you're trying to teach these sort of social behaviors that really are dependent to some degree on the existence of mirror cells to like pick up cues, it can be a long road. I'll just say that. It can be a long road. It doesn't mean that you're never going to get mirror cells. As Tom very much in his 20s insisted, he just never had enough and it was never going to happen. And I said, you're a late bloomer. You will get there. It's just going to take time. And in the meantime, we're going to practice the social skills to get you through till your brain catches up. And that's exactly what we did. We literally used a mirror, y'all. We literally used the biggest mirror in the bathroom. And I would say, here, we're going to practice it. So what we're going to do, we stand side by side in the bathroom mirror. And I was like, we're not talking at all for at least the next 5-10 minutes. I'm going to try making various facial expressions, and you are going to mimic my facial expressions. And I'm going to hold that facial expression until you do it right, till you mirror my facial expression in the mirror. And once you get it right, I will then switch my facial expression to the next one. And you see how long it takes you to then play this game of tag with me. He's like, okay. Oh, yes, the first several times we played this game for 5 minutes, it was a rough go. But he eventually started figuring it out. And then he was able to use that learn skill when having real conversations with human beings by seeing their facial expressions and going, they look happy. I should probably kind of mirror that. I should like echo their happy face and so on. Or like if they're concerned, if they're like, can I tell you about this rough day? And you're like, yes, you give like that sort of studious face, like, yes, tell me, I need this. Because again, as human beings, we are pack animals. And this is what tells us the other person is on the same page with me and they were wanting to bond with me. So like that's what I'm talking about with mirror cells. And yes, you do not need adequately firing mirror cells to mirror other people's body language and facial expressions, but it sure makes it easy. But being neurodivergent means we don't necessarily have that luxury. It can still be learned. It absolutely can be learned. I used to teach it to my entire 5th grade class, where I had like the majority of my kids were neurodivergent.
And like, here's an easy way to test how a kid's development of mirror cells. No kidding. Because the other part that mirror cells do is you feel what other people feel. That is they literally fire more mildly with whatever it seems like the other person's feeling. So go microwave something for just a moment. But these are kids, okay? So this is why it works. And once it's out, especially like a cup, instead of grabbing by the handle, grab the cup and then go, ooh, hot, 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 and put it down and see whose hands clench, because they will have just gotten a mild signal that their hands are hot too. And you'll see them either clench or fan out, and they will start fanning their hands.
Also their face will also go, ooh, ooh, ooh. As if like the mouth is trying to blow on it to cool it. Ooh, 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 ooh.
And that can kind of give you a sense of how well the kids' mirror cells are developing and where they even are at developing them. Of like, as Gloria pointed out, I come from a family of late bloomers. One of the things science is finally catching up on about being neurodivergent is that it's not that someone doesn't have these structures or these cells or anything. It's often that they develop at a different rate. They are not on that average scale. So I eventually got mirror cells. It just took several more decades than most people's children. Because I mean, like, I would watch people and just go, oh, that is hot. Why did they pick that up? And have just no physical reaction. And so, that may have also been part of what led to people referencing Wednesday and Pugsley around us.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just something to keep in mind. And that if you're neurodivergent, coming up with effective compliments that are communicating your intention, they're not necessarily going to be instinctively correct. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. And frankly, it doesn't even mean it's actually that hard. It just means it's a skill that you can learn with intention. That's what we did.
Yeah. The other part that is not quite part of words of affirmation, but I feel since we are discussing words and direct communicate, verbal communication, should also come up, is like our family had this phrase as a way to tell each other vital information of the phrase that pays. And what these are is that these are common sayings that our society has adopted to mean a specific thing. And it's a way to always get, if you have this concept across, and whenever we find one of these phrases, we would make sure to let the other know of, hey, Go try this out. No, people really will understand you when you say this line. Because communication's hard. And that's why, yeah, you also work on these compliments of what's the way of phrasing the compliment that works. I was watching Adam Ragusi, I think, and he was talking about, contextual elements. So like we often say smell when it's something we don't care for that much. We say someone smells when we are in a negative form, but when we ask what is that smell, it's often positive. And we look at these little cues, and so it's how do you phrase it so people always get the I love, instead of saying something smells, say I love this smell, or what is that wonderful smell, so that people at the beginning understand your intention that this is a positive. Because yeah, it is easy for people to misunderstand. I mean, welcome to communication. And so yeah, work on those little compliments that you notice people always, smile about. Like Megan's, I love the way that dress, like the dress looks on you. Versus people will not be quite as positive when you go, that dress makes you look great. They'll think for me like, do I think this person meant it as a positive or a negative?
Like, or did they say that are they trying to say that I normally don't look great?
Versus Steffi's husband's going, I still like the way the curls look. Yeah, I know. You don't want to go the effort. I know there's reasons, but I'm going to enjoy them while they're here.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure not to imply the rest of your time your hair looks. Oh, I mean,
No.
Everyone thinks you have just lost all cares in the world. They wonder about our children. Are they being fed sometimes? Context and the way you give compliments matters. Because we want people to feel better for them. You don't want, the jellyfish stings of backhanded compliments that are just negative thoughts wrapped in a positive sounding phrase.
Or what Megan's referencing with Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Collins's compliments don't have an unstudied air. Don't sound fake.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be genuine when you compliment.
So in the education program, they talked about giving compliments to students. And we were warned against just giving pat, good job all the time, or good work all the time. Just the same thing to each student all the time, because it sounds insincere. And, it's, if anything, creating a distancing relationship with each student. But like teachers are burnt out. They're exhausted. They're overworked. And they're like, I have no bandwidth left to also come up with compliments. So like in my classes, in my program, a lot of these young student teachers came up with other plans after studying. And one of them was, saying good job all the time. It really does sound repetitious and insincere. But you know what kids always love? And it's like, what? What do they love? Stickers. Even if the sticker is the one that says good job. And they're like, hell yeah, they love stickers. They love a gold star. They love all those. So, and something
Anna has come to expect stickers after her speech therapy.
Yeah.
Like they come out of their little playroom and she's, sticker.
Where's my sticker? But I think like there's a certain point about like if like being consciously aware of not just having a small repertoire of compliments and rotating that out all the time with your friends and family. but instead having like learning to improv compliments. So really like thinking ahead about, okay, what do I know about this person? I know our sticker's great. You can't go wrong if you just literally pull stickers out of a pocket and just hand them to somebody. Hey, there you go. You look like you're having a rough day. Here, have a sticker. Who's gonna be like, no thanks? Older people. Anyway, that's a whole nother matter. But I have actually tried to hand out stickers. Like, it's just the elderly that are like, no thanks. Like, life's miserable, whatever.
It's funny you say that about stickers, Glory, because I was trying to sell my books at the campgrounds a lot. And then I was like, I'm going to order these stickers and sell them too. And just the addition of the stickers prettily, in a pretty way, strewn across the table. I can't talk. Anyways, they're on the table. That made them stop to look at the stickers. And then they looked at the books, but before the stickers,
Oh,
they never
that's a
stopped.
good idea.
Nice.
I'm putting these on the ones I'm selling on my Ko-fi shop, signed by the author, and I'm going to have them for events.
Where did you get those?
Etsy.
Oh, okay.
Good old Etsy.
I mean, they also talk about Lil Lounge, and I think in another book, or maybe it was the Lemonade Ladies, talk about humans are fascinated by stickers. They are fascinated by texture and variation. And so, like, one way to get people to look at a product is to just find stickers to put on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you see people like will integrate into the design. It looks like a sticker, but it's just part of the whole print. And it gets a lesser degree of the effect versus if you actually have a three-dimensional object that you can affix to something, people are suddenly very much more curious. Like, it's just part of being human. How much we do love stickers on things. And that, that changing of texture and look.
Well, I think it's like we love medallions and pendants and things. And a lot of stickers look like that.
Yeah.
Also, I love scratch and sniff. I am a child of the 80s.
I know. Maybe somewhere you still have that sticker album.
I don't think it survived Hurricane Katrina. I think that's what happened to it. Because, I had it for years. And then we didn't have a roof in the back of the house. So,
yeah. But yeah, like stickers are kind of like, also we were talking, the IRL hashtags of the human equivalent is when you wear a button. I think I forgot to highlight
having stickers all over your notebooks in school.
People then could comment on it. Sean has a Ratatouille shirt that's a button down. It looks pretty good on him. He loves how many compliments it gets him. It gives him a big head.
But yeah, just that odd, that change look. And one of the things Glory kind of learned and then showed me as she was studying fashion is part of what pulls together an outfit are the little accessories, the little doodads and extras that give someone a completed look. And usually that's, you still need at least one item on each arm, whether that's a bracelet or rings, watches, whatever, and something around the neck area, whether that's earrings or necklace or pendant or what. But those little extras do give us more sense of this person meant to look this way, and it gives little fascinators. And it's something not to forget. I mean, Glory's got a gold bracelet from her great-grandmother that is it's a real simple gold bracelet with just a pounded design pattern into it. I mean, to me, it looks like nothing special, but so many people notice it and love to compliment it. Probably in part because her skin is so pale, it stands out so brightly.
Why do you have to come for me like this? Backhanded compliment alert.
That was one right there. I was going to say.
Right there. Right there.
Part of good compliments is knowing when to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, it is about time for us to take a break.
All righty. We're going to take a short little breaky break. And when we come back, what? I don't know. More.
We'll talk more about, actual words of affirmation and how this works, and maybe how to have this in your relationships.
Good point. Me biddy bee. Me biddy bee biddy bee biddy bee. Moo biddy boo. Moo biddy bee biddy bee biddy bee. Welcome back. Did you have fun stuff?
Yeah, you know. I got a yogurt covered pretzels.
Yum.
They are hearts with sprinkles on them. Like they
Like
came from
Valentine's?
the Valentine's Day section, but
Uh-huh.
we got them like a day or two. We got them New Year's Eve or the day before New Year's Eve to have them on New Year's Eve because I was like, hey, let's have some chocolate covered pretzels or yogurt covered pretzels. And we saw these. We're like, this is pretty good. We'll do it this way. Yeah. How about you guys? What'd you guys do?
Use the facilities and have oatmeal. And so we pulled out the old pet bed that I've had now like 20 years for the new cat. And and I call it a pet bed. It was originally a cat bed I bought at Fred's like literally 20 years ago for Andy. But like every animal any of us have had, plus animals that have visited, have all tried to, at least to sit in this pet bed. It's hilarious to see a pit bull, a full, enormous 115-pound pit bull, just sit and only could get his butt on there. But I was dog sitting the library director's dog, and he was pit bull. But so we put the pet bed on a box in the living room. So, and she likes to watch me from there. But if you walk by, like I have to use the bathroom, she's what we had noticed it originally when Tom was wearing his kilt. If he walked by in his kilt, she would stick her paw out and extend one claw to catch on his kilt. As if to say, why are you walking by me? I'm right here. Versus when he walked by in his kilt, if he stroked her for a second, she did not stick the one extended claw out to catch his kilt. And Tom has noticed she does the same to me. She kind of half-heartedly tries to stick one extended claw out to catch on my lounge pants. If I don't pet her as I walk by. But yeah, sure enough, she's still trying that. So now she's training me to, like, when I walk by, to just give her a stroke before.
That's hilarious. Quite
cats.
funny.
Yes. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
What'd you do, Tom, while you were away? We're all sharing. I
made Glory her breakfast.
It's all made oatmeal.
Breakfast. It's like 4.
Yes.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm just, it's fine. I'm not judging. At least you're eating, okay? That's all that matters. At least you're eating. My husband will go like 3 days without eating if I don't remind him, like, hey, you haven't ate in like a day. Oh, yeah, I should probably do that. Like, he'll go like 3 days without eating. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
Relatable content, yes.
I mean, our preferred, Monday breakfast store was closed today for, New Year's holidays.
The Shipley's Donuts. Stephanie, have you tried Shipley's yet? Since you are in the home state of Shipley.
I've not tried them yet.
Oh, my sweet. If you see a locale, give them a try. Unless it looks really suspicious. Like, I mean, I don't listen to your intuition. I don't know. I haven't seen a Shipley's locale that I turned down yet, but I don't know.
Well, we just found out when we got here to Texas, we went to a Buc-ee's for the first time, and the kids are now love kolaches. Is that how you say it?
Yes, and Shipley's has those too. Yeah, yeah, they have them with the sausage and cheese inside. Oh, they're really good. We are getting a Buc-ee's here in South Mississippi.
They're expecting so much traffic that
they're literally widening the interstate highway.
before it opens or anything, they're
Yes.
already working on expanding the highway around it.
Yep.
Wow.
I want to go so bad.
Jackson's favorite thing about travel day is if there is a Bucky that is relatively on our route. We're okay
Mhm.
driving a little bit out of our ways. He will go
Yeah.
and he'll either get a breakfast sandwich biscuit thing,
Mhm.
but with just egg and cheese and ham on
Mhm.
there. But he will not, for the life of him, eat ham for breakfast anywhere else. Not
What is Bucky's?
Oh.
Bucky.
It's a truck stop.
It's an enormous. It's a land.
Okay,
Yeah.
so imagine like a building that has like lots of gas stations on one side, lots of parking, and inside has all the roadside snacks you could think of, plus clothing, plus knickknacks, plus ready to eat hot food.
They make their own brisket there.
They make the brisket there, pulled.
They have an
like,
entire wall of beef jerkies.
yes,
and
beef
other
jerky.
jerky.
Forgot about that one. I can't eat anymore.
Turkey
I forgot about it.
jerkies. They've got all of it. A wall of it, Carrie. Not
And
like
then
a
they have,
couple
like-
bags.
And then they have a
Wow.
couple of like different candied, like candied pecans, candied almonds,
Mhm.
walnuts, cashews. I ate it one time. I'm like, all right, Jess, you want to kiss me before I eat this because you can't have nuts.
Right.
So he kissed me, and then I enjoyed that bag of pecans very, very well.
All of that.
It was delicious. It hurt my teeth afterward, like my gum line afterwards, but it was well worth it. It was very good.
Very
But yeah, they have things like the kolaches are there, giant ass muffins, cookies, and like they have a whole cooler section of all like the different like drinks you would normally see at any like store area. They have
Mhm.
slushies, they coffee. It's just a good place to go. And then they have a whole area where there's showers. A lot of them have showers for the truckers.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you like live in an RV and you travel, you can like buy a shower there, but we've never done that. Never done that. But apparently, there's somewhere on the I-80 is the largest Buc-ee's
Mhm.
Yeah.
ever, but I haven't been to that one yet.
I'm just so excited we're getting to Buc-ee's, and you better believe I'm going to go visit that Buc-ee's. We're going to go.
And unlike a lot of the other truck stops, they do almost all the foodstuffs they do make, and most of them they make in-house.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So they are very fresh and local.
You
Also,
see
they're
them
known
chopping
for-
up the brisket while they're making the sandwiches. So
And they're known for paying a living wage.
Oh yes, they pay
Yeah.
quite a nice wage. So they're a little more expensive, and they're totally worth going to.
Mm-hmm. Happy
thanks.
birthday.
I know too, Maggie. It was our birthdays yesterday.
Mm-hmm. New Year's, baby.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Happy birthday. Okay.
But part of the reason we wanted to also talk about, as the love language calls it, words of affirmation, is this is in part how you build relationships. Is you create, positive events. So another thing I was reminded of is these pat responses, these pat compliments we all develop because you need sort of an automatic response for things. But one thing you can do with friends to make sure each of you understands you do mean this is you can make it a response and you can make it interactive.
Mm-hmm.
So like with kids, one I've seen and heard before that's always kind of fun to watch. It's like, who did a good job today?
I did a good job today.
Yes, you did. And so you can say this every time. You don't have to come up with a new way to phrase it every time because it's a event. It is showing a marked occasion. And so there's nothing wrong with having these pat responses. But make sure it has genuine emotion behind it and that, it becomes a thing. Like that's the real reason why everyone's always interested, as kids, they're all interested in their own handshakes, their own, greetings for each other. it's a signifier to show, positive feelings toward each other. Because when you're not feeling so great, all of a sudden, you know what? I don't feel like doing that right now. And like, oh, something else is going on. We need to talk more. We need to return the friendship to where we like it being, very positive. But yeah, and often people forget how much we all live for compliments and words of affirmation, and just that the other people around us, care and like what we're doing. Which is why, one of the things everyone notes on Instagram, who's friends with Glory. Glory likes almost every article of her friends that she sees on Instagram to let them know she has seen it. And,
I figured out why she really was visiting me. She wanted a treat. So, all right, give me a sec.
Give me the kitty crack. Give me the kitty crack.
Kitty tail. She's really into it. Okay.
We had a cat one time who loved those treats. She bit the daylights out of me because I had a pack of cough drops.
Mm-hmm.
But it had the same crinkle
sound, yeah.
And she thought they were treats, and I wouldn't give them to her, and she just started biting at my leg.
Mm-hmm. Lady Spider Kitty. Give me a treat, Hoopin. That was really why she came up to see me, was she wanted a treat.
Yeah, like you don't need an inhaler or anything.
No, I had used my inhaler earlier today. No. That's why she didn't stay. So I was like, oh yeah, let me give you a treat. Because
are you really allergic to cats? Like, no.
No, it's just
she hears something when I need to use my inhaler that I don't hear. So she can tell me, like, she has a specific way she sits with me but once I go, oh yeah, let me go ahead and use my inhaler, and then once it's worked, she then leaves.
Okay.
She's very much Nurse Leia when she's like that. And she'll come see me in the middle of the night. Normally she just sleeps in her own pet bed, or does zoomies or whatever in the middle of the night. But if my asthma is acting up, she'll come see me and wake me up, and then I'll go use my inhaler, and then she waits about a half hour for more snuggles until the inhaler is working, and then she leaves again. So she has self-appointed herself as a therapy cat.
But yeah, it's just it's the weather where we live, and there's so much things growing. There's always
also we caught COVID late November, early December. And as that was getting better, my asthma just flared really bad.
Oh, okay.
So I normally, maybe only go a couple times a month where I need to use my inhaler. But the last couple weeks, I've needed it multiple times a day. Yeah. However, I have ADHD, and I'm not good at noticing when I need it.
It's not important. I'm busy. No.
Breathing. It's all right. It's a little late. It's fine. It's a little labored, but I don't notice. So it's very helpful to have the cat to remind me.
It reminds me of this time I was working in Fred Meyer's, and I have asthma, and it's like with dust, and then like an overabundance of cat feline dander around me. I can do normal amounts, but if they're like on my pillow, I have trouble. But sometimes, like, there's some medication and drugs out there that make me have issues breathing. So I was working at Fred Meyer's. I threw out my back, so then I was taking some muscle relaxer, which I didn't know I had issues with. And I was working all day. Like, I got there like 3 a.m. That's when my shift started, and I was working all night. And then my friend was like, it's like 8:30 in the morning. I've been there 5.5 hours. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Why? You can't breathe. I see your chest moving up and down. I got to work. It's fine. So they sent me home to go to the hospital, and I ended up having to get albuterol treatment because I was having asthma attack all day long, and I just was ignoring it. It's fine. It'll get better.
Isn't
I don't do that
hyperfocus
anymore.
amazing?
Yeah. Megan says, I have had several cats who react when my blood sugar is crashing, including waking me from a dead sleep. Yep. My dog used to do that. I was very oblivious to why she was waking me up. But yeah, she'd lick my skin and then nudge me awake. Again, that ADHD tax is high. Oh, well.
Fine.
It's fine.
But I did like that reminder of like that is actually really good. Like Snoop Dogg's songs of affirmation are actually really good songs. It's something worth checking out. But yeah, I mean, look, we're all neurodivergent, and even neurodivergent does not mean not human. Despite what Hollywood
Or
makes tell you.
soulless.
Yes, or soulless or unemotional. And so the way you build relationships is positive interactions. And one of the easy ways to do that is words of affirmation and compliments. It's why, we like talking on the phone, why we like talking on Zoom, why we like meeting on StreamYard whenever we can. Why I'm pretty sure at least half, if not 3/4 of the people who regularly show up on Mondays show up. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Fun to be together.
Mm-hmm.
So
And we like chatting.
one of the things when I was growing up as a kid, this was the 80s. Picture it. It was the 80s. Wham was always playing on the radio. And you think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. Anyway, and like this was that era where they're like, children's real problems is low self-esteem. People would grow up to be happier adults if they just had high self-esteem. And at the time, they believed that the way to raise self-esteem is to compliment children all the time. This is where those participation trophy awards came from. I know.
Sorry.
I know. Oh man, was
Continue.
I pissed? The one time I did not get any ribbon when I was in dance competitions in elementary school. The one time we didn't even place, and I got a participation ribbon. I'm like, what the hell is this? Literally, I threw it in the trash on the way out of the auditorium, and all the adults were mad with me. And I'm like, why? It just literally says I showed up. Who cares? That's not like, congratulations, you're alive. Thank you for this lovely ribbon. Trash. Like that was me in the 80s, y'all. Anyway. But another thing I did not like was these pat compliments, these good job. Oh, way to go, girl. Like they felt so hollow. They didn't feel like they were really about me, but rather checking a box to say I complimented this child. And it did not feel like a compliment because it did not feel personal or meaningful. Fun fact, I'm an ENTJ. And I value meaningful interactions with people, and I devalue all other meaningless interactions. If you just come by and you say hi to me and then you leave, it doesn't feel meaningful in the same way as even a short conversation or a follow-up conversation to a conversation we had the last time. It just feels often like somebody's just checking a box, say, well, I said hi to her today. Surely that's enough. Like, no, I'm a real human being. So I noticed this as a child, and I really just did not value when teachers and other adults would just give these hollow compliments that everybody got, like literally in a row. Everyone would get the exact. It just, oh God. It's like you could just skip me. It's fine. To which teachers just did not know how to deal with me. But anyhow, so one of the things when I was going through the education program, and they're like, you need to give children lots of affirmations. Because again, they need 5 to 7 positive interactions for every negative. in order for them not to have a negative memory of that day. And also, you have no idea how many negative interactions they have at home. And children need to feel overall in a positive way in order for their brains to grow properly into adulthood, because they cannot learn. Hello, Eva. They cannot learn if their brains are not developing adequately for their little brains to hold the memories of the things they're learning. But again, I immediately thought back to how much I hated these false compliments. That's what they felt like. They felt false. They felt fake. And I endeavored to actually work on giving meaningful, bespoke compliments to my students. But y'all, it's a lot of kids every day. Like when I was teaching 3rd grade, I had 17 kids. But when I was teaching 5th grade, I had 126 each day. So thankfully, I taught 3rd grade first. So I got good at that before I moved on to teaching 5th. They never let me teach 4th. That's the one. That's how you know that teacher has clout, because they're allowed to teach 4th grade. That is like, that's the most powerful teachers in any elementary school are the ones who got the 4th grade class. So keep that in mind. Don't piss off the 4th grade teachers. They're the ones who actually have the real power in that school. So I really worked hard at how to give compliments that resonate with children, but in a way that's meaningful, but also not exhausting to me. So one of the things that I essentially came up with a repertoire of types of compliments for students. So one of them is to recognize and say out loud, either privately or in front of other students, that you have noticed their hard work, and that you then say something positive about their effort. Also, like that their finished work is excellent, and that you would think I'd be able to compliment more schoolwork, that it looks good. Like I could just give the very nice penmanship, but that's not a thing. So when I do see good penmanship, you better believe I'm like, behold, children, behold, I shall walk around the classroom so you all may see closely. Look at this sheet. It is so pretty. Behold, because sometimes a student knows they're going to get all the questions wrong, but they're still going to at least try to make it look nice and neat because it's the only thing they can control. But it is something you can compliment on. And I found, like, especially my more anxious students, that is, they have very little confidence in the quality of their work, but they feel like they can control the visual of it. And so to be holded up to all the other students, oh my God, those kids walk on cloud 9. But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to tell y'all. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Nobody really seems to ever outgrow child and adolescent psychology. There's like less than 1% of the entire planet of adults is actually adult psychology. Everybody is still just walking around children and adolescents in adult bodies. So what works for children and adolescents works for like literally 99.9% of the entire human population. So if the only compliment you can find is that somebody always looks so neat and pulled together, by gum, say it. Say it out loud. Every time I see you, Francine, you look so neat and pulled together. I have no idea what's going on in reality to your life, but girl, you look like you walked out of a Vogue magazine. Nice job. You might be surprised how many people actually feel like they're walking on cloud 9 because at least somebody recognizes they are working on the one thing they feel they can control. So 4th grade. Okay, why 4th grade? 4th grade is considered the ideal year to teach children because they are the easiest to teach. This is the one time, so puberty hasn't hit. Puberty hormones start hitting some kids in 5th grade, and kids get weird with puberty. I'll just say it. Like they get a little, not like it's bad, but they just start getting weird. So it's right before puberty hits. So you can have real conversations with them like they're adults, but they're not adults yet. I don't mean like adult conversation, but like you can actually tell them this is why it's important for you to learn this. They're like, oh, you mean for when I'm an adult, I want to do that. That kind of, so you can have really nice conversations with them, but also it's 4th grade is when their brain actually has the most self-control. Their amygdala finally catches up, But again, it's before puberty hormones have hit, because once the puberty hormones hit, they again have no self-control again. And so it's this sweet spot for elementary school teachers. Everybody in 4th grade can wipe their own butt. Everyone in 4th grade can sit still when they're told to, at least for 5 to 10 minutes. Even your special kids can usually hold their legs for like 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not a preen, not a single digit child. So that's why all the teachers want 4th grade. Also, 4th grade, curriculum-wise, it's mostly review, but it's the fun stuff. So this is when you actually get to do the projects with kids, and they have enough attention span. They can actually do like the poster board projects. They can do the diorama projects for the first time, because trust me, if you've ever seen an 8-year-old do a diorama project, a diorama got drunk in the middle of the night and went bar hopping, okay? For the bad
So, my 2 kids that I have in my RV, they are age 12 and 10. They are doing 8th and 5th grade this year. Okay. Mm-hmm. And yes, Gloria, I can definitely agree with you.
From what I speak, y'all. I am a seasoned.
This is fun. I remember doing this diorama of like pick out a dinosaur and do a diorama of their habitat. That's the word, habitat. It'll be fun. Jackson, you like dinosaurs? We can do that. No, don't do it. It was a lot. It was not pretty.
Yeah. Like 4th grade is the sweet spot for elementary school teachers. So the teachers with the most clout will always like lobby to get 4th grade kids. So those are the teachers you don't piss off.
That's also where, like, as Maggie points out, the 4th grade teacher all of her kids had kept reptiles in the classroom and had books of puns of that's when it's safe to do it.
Yeah, like you can't have reptiles in your classroom if you've got 7-year-olds. Oh, absolutely not. Those reptiles will not see the end of the year.
And the same problem for 6th grade on.
Oh God.
Is
the hormones are raging by 6th grade.
And they have so much impulse control that they again will do.
And they don't understand their smelly little bodies. Oh God. Do you know how when I was teaching 6th grade, I literally had a Walmart t-shirt bag just filled with those little, back then they were 75-cent travel deodorants. And at any time it would be like, oh God, if I just could not, because I've got that sensitive nose. If I just could not handle the smell of a kid, I would like call him or her over to my desk while everybody was doing quiet work and be like, pick out of Miss Fink's bag. And they're like, oh, okay. Because I had already had a whole like little talk with the entire class of, this is Miss Fink's bag of deodorant. If I call you over, we're going to go over right now what you are then supposed to do. You pick your favorite one out. You may open it, sniff it, close it back up till you find the right one. And then you're going to take the hall pass. You're going to go to the bathroom. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to lift up your shirt in your stall and you're going to put it on. And if you feel there's dampness elsewhere, like in the other folds, you're going to put a little there too. You know why? Because I can smell you. And you need to learn how to put it on. It happens to everybody. It just means puberty has finally hit. Congratulations. You are now a teenager, no matter how old you are. You're going to do it. You're not going to make a fuss. You're going to go home and you're going to show your mom and dad, hey, Miss Fink gave me this. I really like it. Please buy me a big size bottle. That's what you're going to do. And then you're going to put it on every day before you go to school. So, yes, throughout the year, each of the kids were like, when will it be my turn? My 6th graders were like, when will it be my turn? Let me tell you about like the last 3 kids at the end of the school year who were like, Miss Fink has never called me. And I'm like, honey, that's a good thing. Like, no, I was hoping it would happen. Like, here you go. It's the end of the year. Pick out your favorite deodorants and enjoy it for the summer. I'm sure by the beginning of next year, you'll need it. Yeah. Well, they did not have health class when I was teaching 6th grade at that particular school. So, yes. 6th grade was tough.
But again, note the positive framing of this, that it is not the
no, it's not shame.
Back.
Because it's like everybody. It just means puberty's finally hit you. it's like done something to your pheromones and your sweat glands. Congratulations, you now have teenager sweat glands, even though it means that you're an early developer. And the kids are like, I'm an early developer. Like, yes, you are.
So
I had sixth graders who had to shave it all.
My 10-year-old, he doesn't like sweat. You know, there's no like dampness coming out of his armpits yet. But that boy, I don't know where his smell is coming from, but that boy smells. So he wears deodorant, even if he doesn't have actual sweat coming out of his armpits yet. I'm like, it's good practice. He's like, why? And so then we were in the car one time. We were listening to one of the fluffy comedian specials where he talks about his son is stinky, and so his son wouldn't wear deodorant. So he bought like a dozen different deodorants and was laying them in baskets all over the house. I said, if you don't start wearing deodorant, I will do that. And when you get a girlfriend or friends come over and they want to know why there's deodorant in the middle of the living room or in the kitchen counter, we're going to tell them because you don't wear deodorant. So you should start wearing deodorant now. So now you wear deodorant.
And
yes.
I will say this because, I mean, those teenage hormones really hit me rough. So I definitely had to study more on how do you decrease body odors? Because, wow, even I could smell me.
Oh, God. Yeah, the bed, we had to throw it away after, like, he moved to Tucson at 13. Because no matter what we did, we could not get the stench of his boyness out of the mattress.
And so I will say one of the ways that people don't realize that they can hold on to a lot of smell that does help is make sure to spend extra effort with, a soapy rag or something on joints. So like the inside of your elbows, the back of your knees, as well as, your armpits and between your legs. For whatever reason, this area can just hold smell, and you don't even realize it or think about it. But joints are often where teenagers don't realize they are holding a lot more smell.
In the neck.
Yeah, and also the neck.
Under.
Yep. Anywhere that like there's skin folds, like for joints, that's skin folds there. So yeah, we had a whole little, 15-minute PSA when I was teaching 6th grade. And all the other teachers in my grade were like, thank you. Sometimes the other teachers would send a student to me to like see what's in Miss Fink's bag. And I'm like, oh.
But I mean, part of it is like it works out so much better for long term if we are also phrasing it in a positive way of welcome to becoming a teenager. You're just going to produce a lot more smell. You're going to need to help everyone else by wearing this and working on your hygiene a bit too again. Because we all need to live near you. And you want us to be happy with you, not upset and annoyed every time we see you approach.
But I mean, like I was just explaining to my kids of like, look, it's just a part of becoming a teenager. Your body makes different smells, but do not be covering it up with Axe body deodorant. Miss Fink needs to be able to breathe. I cannot stand that stuff. It will kill my nose. It's not fair. Please do not wear excessive perfumes and colognes, or else guess who? Miss Fink is going to send you to the bathroom to go wash all that off of your skin because I need to breathe. And again, like you're not fooling anybody. Okay. We can also smell your body underneath the smell of the cologne or the perfume. So, dousing yourself in perfumes and clothes is not necessarily going to help. Please just wear a little deodorant every day. Congratulations, puberty is hit. And they're like, do you do it, Miss Fink? Like, you better believe. Does anybody want to come up and smell my armpit real quick? And several kids were like, I want to. Come right up. Get a sniff. And they're like, oh, what is that?
And as Maggie points out,
I literally wrote it on the board so they could like, if you liked this smell, Just write it down on a piece of paper, take it home, tell your parents this is what you want from Walmart, okay? That's what I buy for $1.75. You know, like.
And as Maggie points out, sometimes it's hard though if someone's allergic to the active ingredients in deodorant and antiperspirant. I mean, thankfully though, they have come a long ways. They do now make aluminum-free, paraben-free deodorants and antiperspirants.
And in fact, at the time, there were several all-natural ones that were literally. They had started carrying at that moment at Walmart in the mid to late 2000s. Those little travel size salts, the little salt rock thing. I think at the time they were called the Thai rock or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's what our mom wore. So I grabbed several of those and told kids, if you have sensitive skin, you can use this one. And because it was honestly, it looked like thick perfume, not perfume, thick lipstick containers, but it was clear.
And all it actually is, it's magnesium sulfate. And another way you could use it is just, it's also what, when you go to Epsom salt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can actually just make in a spray bottle Epsom salt and water, and then just spray it on the places people notice smells.
And for whatever reason, it does really neutralize those smells.
Mm-hmm. I've used it for years.
It works real fast too. So highly recommend them.
So yes, I did keep a bottle of the liquid version of that in my desk drawer at work. So when the kids came in from recess, it's like, if you feel that you may have a smell, come to Miss Fink and I shall spray you and your shirt. And I would have 3 or 4 line up because they're like, I smelled myself at recess. Okay, come. Where did you smell? They would I started just leaving the bottle at the corner of my desk. You just come and you spray through your shirt. You're fine.
Yeah.
Because again, they knew I had a very sensitive nose. And they also, wanted to better understand how to be pleasing socially. So other people would not, I was like, nobody wants to be called the stinky kid.
True.
Because that's not how you get friends, unless you're a dog. If you're a dog, apparently that is how you make friends. Come smell what I rolled in. It's fantastic.
Oh, Cassie was good at finding the smell.
None of us are dogs. We're all human beings. The smell, if we smell a little funky, people don't want to stand as close. And if they don't want to stand as close, they're like, maybe I should just walk away. Right? So none of us want to be the stinky kid, me included. So, and so, yes, I'll say this. That is what I actually liked about 5th and 6th grade, teaching 5th and 6th grade kids is, again, I could have those more adult conversations about, hey, guess what? Smells have happened. Here's the spray bottle. Y'all have come in from recess. Use it as you need to. The bottle cost me $2. Of the clear Thai salt liquid. It costs $2 for the whole bottle. Yes, I would go through one a month because the kids, but you know what? I was grateful not to have to find that as a distracting situation in my classrooms. And again, nobody had to deal with people going, oh, I don't want to sit next to you. You smell. That did not happen in my classes. People were very kind and positive with each other because, again, that was not a problem in my classrooms. I did one time have one kid come in and say, so last night I stayed overnight at my uncle's house and he dropped me off from school and he wouldn't let me get out of the car till he sprayed me with Axe body odor. So I'm so sorry, Miss Fink. I told him not to and he still did it. I was like, where did he spray you? He's like, my back as I was trying to escape his truck. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let's try to spray it with the liquid Thai salt. Maybe that'll help. He's like, yes, please. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, well, maybe they have a spare shirt at the principal's office. He's like, spray me first. We'll see if that helps. He was even like, I told him not to do it. It was the cutest thing. I had great students. They really were lovely. But anyway, I think part of the thing about compliments when you are giving effective compliments is it is definitely a bonding experience. Because I think ultimately what compliments do is they say to the other person, I see you for who you really are. And I approve. I like you. exactly for who you are. I see the real you. And that, of course, what is not to love about that? Of course, that makes you feel better about yourself, but also makes you feel better about that relationship. Maggie says, scent-producing microbes also attached to hair. So many kids in Texas had lake hair by the end of the summer, and for the first month or two of school, when it rained in the morning, swamp dog hair. Yes. Swamp dog hair. Oh, yes. Let me tell you, I did have another PSA, a 10-minute PSA on how to wash your hair in the shower.
Because again, it's something we often forget with kids is we think of them as, just once they can walk and talk on their own, there's this tendency for adults to go, well, of course they already know how to do this. It's just obvious to me, so it's obvious to them. It's like, no, you've forgotten. You also needed to be trained on this. And it took you a while to work out your own strategy to do this. Mm-hmm. So, so washing yourself and hygiene is not automatically effective. You do need to talk about this with them. And also, talk about it again, because when puberty hits, they forget everything.
Oh, God, they do.
They really do. It's science.
Science will back this up.
Hormones are crazy.
But yeah, teaching them to get a lather going and then wash all the way down to the skull and really get in there to the skin and massage it all the way. And then don't forget behind the ears and the hair. And they're like, oh, you could literally hear the, oh yeah, a lot. As it just rippled through the classroom. So it was just one of those things. I think there's also compliments, and then there's the other side of how to avoid anti-compliments, complaints. I don't know. Especially, again, about the things that we can't really control very well. So one of the things we don't have direct control over exactly is how we smell. We can augment it. We can bathe. We can use products that are supposed to help with it. But it's going to keep happening no matter what we do because we're human beings.
I mean, this is the great difficulty between Europeans and East Asians. East Asia's bodies really just don't produce nearly as much scent of things, and nor do the microbes that produce scent really like to live on their skin as much. So they literally just smell a lot less. And Europeans, the entire opposite. If you have a lot of European heritage, all the wild animals know when you're coming.
It's true.
And it's, you the best effort you can do will still not entirely change this. And this is what the Japanese have noticed of it's not just hygiene. No, it's just part of it.
Yeah, it's something we were taught. We moved to the Philippines about, okay, so Westerners, Europeans have a reputation in Asia for being very smelly. The majority of your smell is going to improve in 3 days because you're going to be eating local food and you will start smelling more like them. Because right now you smell like Western food and it's very strong to Asian noses. So for the first 3 days, we're not going to take you out in public because your body needs to change to the local diet. Once that happens, though, you're still always going to smell a bit more. So you have got to be on your toes about using, you bathe, you always wash all the crevices and everything with extra soap. And then you be sure to rinse it out so you don't have soap residue. And also using, deodorant or whatever you're using. And then being aware that you may need to change clothes multiple times a day because in the Philippines, the place is not air conditioned and you're going to sweat. Maggie says, you can't hunt antelope when the people at the bus stop a fourth of a mile away can smell your axe. I mean, yeah. So that's what they told us of first off, you're not going anywhere for 3 days till you acclimate to the local diet. And then you may have to change clothes multiple times a day and let your clothes air out because the smell of you will become too strong to Asian noses. And you certainly don't want people avoiding you because you're the smelly white person in town. And it was just helpful for people to just, from the moment we moved to the Philippines, to tell us that. So we weren't wondering what is up with Asian, like all the Filipinos, like giving us 10 feet birth. But also, like, understand you'll always just smell a bit strong to them because you are of European descent, and Europeans have a very distinctive smell to Asians. Asians just don't put out as much body odor smell. And yet the Asians are very sensitive in the Philippines. They are very sensitive to body smells. And so it is normal for them to literally freshen themselves up to 5 times a day with scented rubbing alcohol on a cloth on all their crevices. 5 times a day. They do that because they don't want any smell. And it works surprisingly well. Yeah, also it'll cool you down if you're all hot and sweaty from, living in the tropics. Maggie says, my godfather always insisted on buying local soap and shampoo the very first day of being in a foreign country. Yep, mine too. And he ate whatever food was common in the area for a week before he left the USA. Yep. It really does change how you smell. So, like, I think for me, being 18 years old and moving to the Philippines and getting that, like, as my first day there, being told about this, being prepped, actually, before we moved, we were prepped on this, was helpful for me to become aware of essentially making sure there's no impedance from other people interacting with me, or at least being consciously aware of that. So again, no uncompliments. His habit meant he never got harassed as a tourist. Exactly. Trust me, you can smell tourists. Even here in Mississippi, when we have tourists, like even from other parts of the country, but also from other countries, we can smell the difference. Hi, Bonnie. I really feel this conversation very relatable as a cosmetologist who takes care of all races. Different cultures and people definitely have different smells. It is true. And there's no value judgment on that. But I think it's important to acknowledge that it does exist so that we understand what's happening and so that we can do our best so that people essentially can feel they can get close to us. Just to be aware that it is a thing. It's, again, but skirting that, see, when I used to hear it as a child, it was in racist overtones of how people smell different and it's somehow a value judgment versus it's just a fact. People of different genetic groups smell different and it's neither good nor bad. It's just a fact. But, there are things you can do to be aware of it so that, you're not assaulting other people's noses because many people just want to like everybody. But it can be hard when you can't concentrate. Just speaking for me, when I could smell somebody before I see them, it is hard to concentrate on a conversation. I just want to escape.
I got good at really trying to, when I worked in retail, really trying to mask my facial expressions, but I would blink a lot.
Yeah.
I really don't want to be rude to this customer in my line at the grocery store, but
I had to learn how to breathe through my mouth more when I was a librarian in particular, because we just had so many people coming in and out all day. And, people come in to the library, speak to the librarian because they need assistance. But it means you got to get real up close and personal sometimes, physically stand near each other, especially in a crowded library, in order to hear them. And I had to really practice a lot breathing through my mouth. Yeah, medications can also change how people smell. It is true. So, and just being aware of it. And also, once you know that, you can also be more forgiving of other people's smells.
Mm-hmm. And there are some smells that you grow up with and you get used to. I didn't know how nose blind I was to cigarette smoke because my parents both smoked until I would go over my best friend's house and her mom is like, I'm not saying this to be mean, but I can smell the cigarette smoke on your clothes. So if I pop out to take my inhaler,
yep,
that's why. And when I moved out and I was no longer used to that smell, I would go to my parents' house, and I was I would come back home and I would shower because I would smell like cigarettes and
Yeah.
dog.
Oh, and cigarette smoke really sticks to the hair. And
Yeah, Joe wouldn't come near me. He
Yeah.
would just be like, "Please go shower. I love you, but please go shower."
when we worked at the gay nightclub in town, back when we had the video store and we had a little kiosk in there. Tom worked there most Fridays and Saturdays, but sometimes he wasn't able to, or he needed assistance because it's going to be very busy. And I'd often go. And every time afterwards, as soon as I got home, we'd all just get in line to go shower. Honestly, like often what would actually happen is my then husband and Tom would sit on the front porch and wait for me to get out of the shower. And they would each take a turn. So we're all sitting there in bathrobes and nightgowns and night clothes, waiting because we only had one shower, for everybody to take a turn. And then, sit around, because like usually I would take the first shower because then I would like start making our late night meal, since, that was essentially the end of our workday. And so I'd be working on some carbonara or making pancakes or whatever we had agreed that on the drive home that we were going to make. And then we would, as soon as the last person got out of the shower, so somebody was always in a robe, sitting at the dining room table, eating our meal together and talking about the day and how it went. Bonnie says the example I can think of is cooking in the house that don't smell the food till you go outside and back in. Yeah. And nose blindness can kick in as little as 30 minutes. It is true. I was thinking about the little ladies who overapply their favorite perfume. Oh, yes. What was it? Violet?
Oh.
That violet essence or violet water or something? Oh, boy, do I notice that.
When I was a senior in high school, my grandmother had severe emphysema, so my mom would take her to the specialist, and it was right by where I went to school, so they would pick me up, and there were signs all over this office saying, "Do not wear perfumes and colognes because there are people here who cannot breathe." And it would just reek of like old people cologne. Me, who had no problems breathing, would have to sit outside in the hallway and do my homework while my mom and my grandma were in the appointment. Because I just couldn't handle it. But everybody else was just so nose blind to those perfumes and whatever. And, just,
and there's good reason for that. I mean, if you think about it, which is the nose is telling you, chemical information around you, and so it just screens out your own body's smells because it knows that unless something changes quickly, it doesn't matter. So it's just looking for what's unique and new. And so, yeah, we often forget how easy it is to kind of go a bit nose blind to the smells around you, including like the smell of your fabric softener or just the the detergents.
That is, I guess, a wonderful place to be. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Stud.
I'm still not.
No, me either.
Been changing diapers for 4 years since my nephew was born, and still not.
I read years ago now about, there is again the whole don't microwave fish at work because it's rude, it's inconsiderate. But that also some workers complained when people microwave popcorn because it is a very strong odor and they don't have any popcorn. So my solution to that was simply that anytime I wanted microwave popcorn, I would send out a message to everybody else in my office. Anybody want microwave popcorn? I'm gonna microwave some. And because there was 6 people at one point in the office, the administration office at the library. And people would say who wanted what, and I'd be coming by. Here's your little plate. Here's the popcorn bag. Keep pouring till you've had enough. And also ask who wants water bottles because I just grabbed them from the refrigerator. And just that way, nobody would feel upset that I was popping popcorn. Sometimes I had to pop 2 bags. Oh, no, what a shame. and everybody would just have a little munchie. But again, I would also do the same thing with my students. Of if I wanted popcorn, guess what? We're having a popcorn party real quick while everybody does their quiet work. You just walk around putting little bits of popcorn on their little napkins so everybody can snack. Again, because being considerate and being aware of the smells can be very distracting. But inadvertently, I also came off as very kind. It was a nice side effect. I think that's one of those things of like, it's funny how the more you learn how to be considerate of others, the more it improves your reputation with others. Maggie says, I never minded smelling like the bakery, and I got so much attention from everyone on vanilla cookie or wedding cake day. I had a friend who hated the smell of popcorn. Yes, I have known people, I feel bad for them, who hate the smell of popcorn. It smells amazing. I worked at a bakery warehouse when I was young. After a week, I hated baked goods. Took a long time to relate the smell.
But yeah, like a lot of being considerate and the ways to show being considerate. And there's so many ways we can do that, both physically as well as verbally. Of just, talking to someone and making sure they are also having a positive response. I'll post a link to a good article I found on everything around words of affirmation and compliments, and like what are examples of good ones, what are ways to do it, what are how to approach. And overall, I thought it was just a good explanation. If anyone's curious.
Also, to be perfectly honest, hi, it's lovely to see you, is a great affirmation to give people. Granted, it helps if it's sincere. May want to practice that facial expression in the mirror. Make sure that what you are intending to communicate is communicated in your face. That is a lesson.
Everyone, especially anyone here, should definitely always double check that their smiles are Duchenne smiles in the mirror.
Like with love, the more you think that you are doing the correct facial expressions, the more I would like to encourage you to go check in the mirror first. Because as some of y'all know, I have run a private finishing school, Miss Glory's finishing school, for bright, eager people. And the more I have a student so sure that all their facial expressions communicate the feeling they were trying to communicate, the more I did not find that added up. And I'd have to just, at a certain point, strong arm them to come with me to the bathroom. We're going to stand at the mirror gate and gaze in. Because y'all know I bring this up, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people are entirely unaware of their own incompetence. If you are absolutely certain, you will bet money that you have always had the right facial expressions, that your genuine happy face communicates happiness to others, that your sad face communicates sadness, your angry face communicates anger or frustration to people. The more certain you are that you are absolutely perfect at this, the more I would strongly like to encourage you to go make sure that is so in the mirror. Because I've had so many people tell me that they're very happy and instead they look rageful.
Now, to see the look that Tom has on his face right now, that is a look my husband has.
That's a smirk.
No smirk, nothing. Like, he had a resting face. That's the face my husband has all the time. And I'm like, he just is like this all the time. And he can be happy.
I think we call that
I'm enjoying myself. I'm like, and I, right?
I think it's called an RDF this week.
For the longest time, I was like, are you not happy right now? Because you look angry or pissed off or annoyed or something other than a positive emotion. He's like, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm enjoying myself. So it's a rare thing that you see a smile on his face. And like, whoa, what's going on? But I didn't mean to call you out, Tom. I'm just saying that's kind of the look that he has. Doesn't matter if he's happy or sad or angry or anything.
I've done a lot to make sure my face still stays in a relatively positive look. Because growing up, I was so stressed that my resting face tended to look very judgmental.
Yep.
And very upset. So like
Tom always looked like he was judging people, like harshly. So like
I mean, it wasn't always wrong.
No, I mean that was actually honest, but again, I would like to encourage everybody to honestly every couple months go check in the mirror and make sure the facial expression you're feeling is the facial expression on your face. You'll know it when you see it. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, why do I look so angry? Or why do I look sad? I've had so many people tell me that they're genuinely happy and they look like somebody just crushed their puppy. And I'm like, really? Are you sure you're sad? Because you look genuinely distraught. And they're like, no, I swear I feel happy. It's like, oh, come with me. Come with me now. And lead them to the bathroom where we then look at the mirror. I'm like, this is how you look right now. It looks like somebody took your puppy away and did terrible things to it. What's the disconnect? Are you genuinely sad or is it a facial thing? You know, but it has been an aha moment for many people that I have led to the bathroom mirror of perhaps that is where maybe their compliments are not being as well received as they want them to be. Because you're saying, hi, I'm happy to see you. But in fact, their face is like, hi, I'm happy to see you. So it sounds like sarcasm. When there's a disconnect between your face and the words you're saying, people often then interpret it as insincerity or sarcasm. And I want everybody here and everybody who ever watches this video later to be effective in the way they want to be, rather than to feel misunderstood a lot. So some of the misunderstanding can be genuinely accidental, such as, so being neurodivergent can mean that the neurology in your brain is not accurately connected to your facial muscles, but it can be fixed merely by practicing in the mirror. You're retraining your brain for what happy feels like, what sad feels like, angry, bored. You just have to retrain your face. It's not like I'm permanently distraught. I will always have this. You will not always have this problem. It is something that can be fixed, just like being able to walk. Maybe the first time you go walking, you can only walk a quarter mile before you start feeling out of breath. But a year of walking, you could do 10 miles and then be ready to still go walk around the mall for fun. Like that's what it is. It's a muscle thing. It's absolutely easy to fix. Believe me, it takes far less work than walking 10 miles. Ever. It's you just sit there or stand there in the bathroom mirror and think happy thoughts. And see what your face does, and then try to train your face to look even happier or maybe less happy. I don't know. You know, I'm not here to like gatekeep your facial expressions. But I want you to feel effective in your communication, and a fair amount, more than 2/3 of communication is nonverbal. So people are looking at your face, they're looking at your body language. That's why I like the bathroom mirror, because it's a bigger mirror usually. And so people can see more of at least their upper body. And I like the really big mirrors because if you stand back a little toward the bathtub, often people can even see how their hips, because your hips, Shakir was right, your hips don't lie. I've noticed a lot of people with back injuries, they tend to favor one hip or the other when they're standing. And it can also look testy. It can look like you have a short fuse with a person, when in fact your back just hurts, okay? But if you are aware of it, especially after perhaps, hopefully, your back injury has healed, that you're aware, at least if you are delivering a happy news or a happy compliment, at least for the moment, redistribute the hip weight so it's even, so you don't look like, you've done a great job. And again, it comes off as sarcasm because your hips are saying something different from what your face and your mouth are saying. So again, I want everyone to have effective compliments rather than their body kind of undermining their intentions. Because with neurodivergent people, these are very common issues to be aware of. I'm not going to tell you how many years I practiced facial expressions in the mirror. I've told my students, but I'm not telling y'all. It's just, It's cultivated. Anyway, yes, let's go do a break. Thank you for coming to my second TED Talk of the day. We'll take a 10-minute breaky break. What a wonderful time to make sure you have something to drink, maybe a snack. Popcorn is the official snack of writers, second only to chocolate. I did not make these rules, but these are the rules. So with that thought in mind, see you in a few minutes.
Stop. That doesn't make any sense.
Be-ba-da-bee. Be-ba-da-bee-ba-da-bee-ba-da-bee. Be-ba-da-boo. Be-ba-da-bee-ba-da-bee-ba-da-boo. Welcome, welcome.
Had to turn my camera on for a little bit while we were on break because Anna came in. She was so cute. She got a guitar for Christmas. And apparently when she was watching Frozen, she picked it up and she was singing the Reindeers Are Better Than People song
Aww.
with her guitar. It was so
Oh my God, the
So she
cuteness.
came in here and she sang it for me.
Very nice. That's sweet.
And she wanted to see the new light.
Hello, Stephanie. No? Yes?
I hate my.
Maybe?
I don't know what's wrong with it.
Oh no.
I can hear you a little bit. You're very quiet.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
You guys are all black screen, so I'm gonna fiddle with my internet. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Darn it. Alright, let's see.
'Tis the new year for new gremlins.
Yep. Should I read or leave her?
So where were we?
It's Stephanie too. Not better?
Oh, it's better for me. Is it okay? I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed me when you're in. If you guys are all spiraling and black screen.
Oh,
We can see you
that,
just
right?
fine.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Wow. I'm back. You guys all look great. It's not black screen. Like none of your pictures are showing up.
I had that happen. I had to close down my browser, restart my laptop, and then open the browser again, and then it was fine. It's that it had run out of memory.
Oh.
The video card
Alright. Okay.
had for the browser what it had allotted to the browser, so that's what worked for me.
All right. Well, I'm back.
Cool. All right, the final hour of compliments, love language.
Carrie, what does your shirt say? I've been trying to read it.
It says, when I get old, I don't want people thinking, what a sweet old lady. I want them to say, oh crap, what is she up to now?
That's
Nice.
I mean, yeah, life goals.
Hmm.
Christmas present last year for my brother-in-law.
Mm. Nice.
I like it. It's
I'm
good.
like, you know me so well. He also got me a coffee mug when Joe and I were still dating that said, if you think I'm crazy, you should see me with my best friend.
Yeah, that checks.
So
So I
did you
was
get
looking.
popcorn on that? Did you get popcorn, Glory?
I did not get any popcorn.
Oh.
Sad.
I was working on laundry.
Mm-hmm. Almost like laundry.
Chocolate.
Is highly effective and necessary for writers.
Mm-hmm.
Creativity lives on chocolate and sugar.
Popcorn. Yeah. I agree.
So I was looking at that
Popcorn doesn't
article.
work that much if it's drowned in butter and salt. It can get messy.
I disagree. I think it's very effective drowned in butter and salt. That's what pants are for.
You just got to keep wiping your keyboard.
Yeah.
Or just, you keep a little paper towel or something beside your keyboard. So, yeah, you take the handful and then you swipe your hand on the paper towel, type, and then the next handful, repeat.
Yes, that is what I do.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we're not going for perfect. We're just going for effective.
Right.
I was looking at that article I posted earlier on, everything you need to know about, love language of positive affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at all of their sample compliments.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're decent, ones. And, definitely give some open-ended to actually make sure they feel genuine. But what I noted about all of them was essentially a good affirmation to give is, how does someone else improve your life? Because that's the only part you can really speak from, is that, how you enjoy them.
I don't know. I find that narcissistic.
I know it is.
Because it's like, wow, what a way to keep talking about yourself rather than like maybe see me as a person. Hence, like why I compliment my students on the effort I see them putting into and their finished work. What I liked about their finished work, oh, believe me, I'm definitely one of those people that will underline certain lines because I love this. This is your work. Oh, the gremlins are real today.
Also,
see you later,
Maggie.
There. And like again, you're affirming another person, not yourself. Like, it's not a way to like say how I'm a great person because you're here in my life. Like,
it's not what it's going for, but since that's what it's communicating, we will just drop that one then. I lost track. What else?
Laura says, I love getting, we're both clicking things again. I love getting handwritten letters. I think it's a great form of expressing love.
I think it's something that is forgotten about a lot. Of the reason it is a good form of expressing love is it shows effort. And compliments should also be, are the same. Of the ones that mean something are the ones that show effort. Like, you notice something about someone else, and that's what you are complimenting on, is you notice their effort, you notice their effect, you notice their intentions, and that the intentions succeeded. I mean, I've definitely noticed Gloria's creativity and what her intention was when she made little monster baby booties. They look absolutely adorable on little baby feet.
I don't know that they fit any baby feet. I have no idea. They're just fiber art. I do not know for a fact they're functional. But I like to imagine little babies roaring around. I'm going to stop clicking on things. You could just be the clicker today.
We really got that timing down today, don't we?
Yep. So we're twins.
Laura's, I love it when it's on a napkin with a lipstick kiss on it. or written as one of my favorite characters. It's sealed in wax. And that's definitely a lot of effort right there.
Cat's gotten me wanting a wax seal kit.
I can see
Last
Stephanie
year I
do it.
wanted to work on like keeping up with like pen paling everybody, and that I think I sent Charlie one letter. That was it.
And like this year, my sister was Santa for my nephew. She got the letter to Santa and responded. So cute. Apparently, Santa likes broccoli.
Harris.
Who doesn't like feeling like they're a giant, brontosaurus eating the forest?
Hello again.
Hello, Stephanie. How goes the internet?
Sustained on.
So, are there any lasting thoughts about compliments or affirmations as a love language, or anything else we've talked about today?
I think, like most aspects of relationships, we probably need to do them a lot more than we think are necessary or needed. Just like if you want a relationship to feel equal, you will always feel like you're doing 70% of all the effort in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes for compliments. You definitely will feel like you are over complimenting someone just to give them enough, and especially for children. Children need a ton of compliments and a ton of just recognition of who they are, because they often don't feel like they are seen or recognized among others, and so they need to be, they need actual verbal confirmation.
Also, the world is scary for children.
Yeah.
It's enormous. It's not made for them. They don't fit in most places. And they're certainly not equals with adults. They pick up on that. They know they don't have the same rights as adults. So children are effectively second-class citizens in the world, and they are aware of it. So it's a rather scary, daunting place, and they need reassurance constantly that they are okay and they are safe and they're appreciated, and that people love and look out for them. Then they need that from the majority of the people they interact with. Because children are anxious in ways that adults don't necessarily read correctly. When kids are running around and just being a bit hyperactive, sort of or what we would call hyper, that actually can be an expression of anxiety. And if you were in their shoes, they would have every reason to be anxious, to be a second-class citizen in the world, to not have full rights ever, no matter what. It's like you're literally shorter. The world is not custom built for you. And, anytime you're wandering around on your own, people are like, where's your parents? Excuse me, I'm a person. But that is not how the majority of the world will treat them. When people are anxious, they need reassurance frequently. And yet when people are anxious, they are very much sort of in their own heads, sort of locked away in their heads, and they're not thinking necessarily about what other people need and what would be appropriate for them, how to interact. They're instead thinking about how anxious they feel and how scary this feels and how they just want to feel better. The same is true of adults, of course, but like what children need is probably good practice for what the majority of adults also need. Because what was it, since the pandemic has started, something like the rate of anxiety of diagnosis has just shot through the roof. But the thing about when people are anxious is they're rather self-centered, because that anxiety in their brain is distracting. It's hard for them to pick up on other people's cues, or even just to like think about what other people need. It's just hard to get through that noise. So it's something to think about. Now, that is not to say that we're not all also experiencing that. I know when I'm feeling very anxious, that is the last moment when I feel like giving any of the love language to people. Like I'm just not in the mood. I'm not feeling loving, I guess, essentially. It is hard to put that aside, isn't it? To express our love even when we're not exactly feeling it, and yet we don't want to come across as insincere. The only thing I can say is probably the thing that helps most is if you can try your best to live in the moment, at least for that moment that you're interacting with a person. So that for that moment, you're not thinking about your own anxiety or whatever is the big unknowns in the world for you in that moment, but instead touching base with someone else, making a close connection.
One of the better tips I ever saw for raising kids was a very small, minor thing to always do. But I've been surprised to see, yeah, it does show, like, you can tell the difference in kids. And that's when parents develop, and just adults in general around them develop this: whenever the kid enters a room, even if when the adult's in the middle of something, they acknowledge the kid. And if their body language says they are approaching them, then they'll ask, did you need something from me? And then inform the kid of, either, now what is it? Or, I'm in the middle of something. Can you give me 5 or 10 minutes while I finish this task? Because, it's hard to switch between thoughts. And then I can give you my attention. But that just acknowledging them when they enter the room really changes a lot about how kids, and adults too, act. We also need to do the same thing when we see other adults enter. And often we don't. Like, you'll see this with roommates, and you can definitely tell how close or estranged roommates are by how much do they look up and acknowledge when they see a different person walking in the room. Like, if they're not that interested in the other roommate, they will just stay in their own thing. They don't say a word. They might as well still be in two different worlds. But when they're happy to see the other person, when they have a good relationship, you'll see them look up. They'll still acknowledge, even if they're in the middle of a game. Even if they can't look away from the screen, they will still verbally acknowledge them. And that's often what these affirmations are. It's just they are affirming the other person's existence, and, that they're in a place where they're wanted. We need to hear that a lot more than we think.
We've really been trying to work on the extra compliments and praise while Anna's doing potty training, because change is so hard for her. So learning this new thing, and the fact that it's taking so long, and then she's been a little thrown off in that department with all of the holiday food and being off of her school schedule, and so sometimes it can be painful and it's scary. So we really Joe was actually today, he was sitting on the floor in front of the toilet, and she was just hugging him, and it's like, it's okay, sweetheart. Like, you can do this. All done, all done. No, just a few more minutes. It's okay.
I remember those days. When you're a little bit older than your child you're talking about, but I still remember those days.
And also sometimes it's just waiting for the neurology to catch up. It's not easy. I will never forget learning from Glory the fascinating facts about dachshunds and how, because of their anatomy, unlike most dogs, it's going to be past 2 years old before they develop bladder control because the nerves just haven't quite finished catching up.
They're so long. It takes their neurology twice as long as regular dogs.
And so it's not that they're trying to misbehave or anything. It's just, but like and most people don't talk about dachshunds their bladder control especially will take forever.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lucky, it's 1.5 years. If you're not so lucky, it could be up to 2.5, occasionally 3 years.
Yep.
And that's just part of who they are.
Yep. It was like having a neurodivergent child in many ways, having a dachshund. Because even among dogs, they're late bloomers. The reason why dachshunds' noses are so long is because they have an unusually long puberty. And that is specifically why, like, dachshund puppies look like Rottweiler puppies. They don't look like dachshunds. And their nose gets long during adolescence. And they have the longest adolescence of purebreds, or one of the longest. And that's when their nose gets so long, as well as their body also gets pretty long. And that's why is they have such a long adolescence. That's why it takes them so many years before they're fully potty trained. And what I mean by that is, in the first couple months, you can train them we go outside, we don't try to pee inside or poop out inside. But when they get excited, they're going to pee. And they're going to be, like, Cassie was 3 years old before she could hold it. Like, as soon as she started getting excited, I would open the front door and she would just run out because she knew I'm about to go and I don't want to pee inside. But she was 3 before she finally, so you have to get the signal to the bladder, and then the bladder has to send a signal back. I can't hold it. And that it's the getting it back to the brain. So therefore I must leave the house so I don't pee inside the house. That's what took 3 years. And so it really was in many ways like raising a neurodivergent child, except it was a dog, because I could not even go by other dogs' development, since dachshunds have such an unusual development. They're also super smart, though. Dachshunds have one of the largest vocabularies of all purebred dog breeds. They have over 600 words, and some dachshunds have over 1,000-word vocabulary. So you can, like, string together whole sentences, and they absolutely understand what you're saying. They are like having older toddlers.
Now, whether they want to agree with this,
they'll deny, like, no, I don't know what's going on. And yet, if you, like, talk behind their back, they absolutely know what you're saying. And they're like, so if you're like, oh, if only Cassie were here, I would give her a treat. Suddenly, she's like, I understand every word you're saying. What do you say? And it's not that she heard the word treat. Because I was like, if only Cassie were here, I could give her, like, a little something delicious. She understood the words, y'all. But, like, it really taught me a lot about being neurodivergent, even before I fully realized that I was necessarily neurodivergent, because I had been trained about teaching neurodivergent children at that point. And I saw what I had been trained with Cassie. I saw a lot of this coming out. And it really helped me be a better teacher to my students, because, I solidly had at least a third of my kids were already diagnosed neurodivergent. And it made me a better teacher, because I could see this is not like the crap that teachers and parents used to say in the 80s of, like, oh, they're being willful or they're being disruptive and they're doing it willfully. Like, no, they just cannot control their physical actions, their mouth all the time. Like, 8 hours is a long day, and their little bodies just can't do it all the time. They try. Oh, they want to behave so bad. They really want to people please, but they can't. Dachshunds and children, very similar in that regard. And, like, I even see some of my neurotypical students getting irritated with my neurodivergent students, and me trying to run a little interference, because it's absolutely valid that the neurotypical student may be getting a little irritated with the disruptions or the trying to talk to them during a test when they know full well they're not supposed to talk. But like wanting them to all develop good relationships with each other. And so trying to like run that interference as well, because it's like the neurodivergent kid just can't quite control their mouth or their body or their legs in the chair the whole day. So like I started changing around how I did testing, where we did testing the second hour of every day for whatever. It didn't matter if that was when we normally had the class. That's what all my kids got trained. That's when we do the tests, because that's when most of my kids have the most self-control. So they're the least likely to talk to each other during the test or to swing their legs, or, the excessive coughing being disruptive and distracting to other students. That is when they've got, also I would actually hand out cough drops. That is when my kids got optional cough. Who wants a cough drop? Raise your hand. And I will put your cough drop on your desk, but you do not take it. You do not open it up till after you've written your name on your test and we start taking the test, because, again, so that the other students were not as distracted with the coughing. So like, it's just that of accepting people for how they are and doing your best to buffer it, because at a certain point you can only do so much. And I see that true with adults, of like, most of us, most of the time, can acknowledge anytime somebody walks in the room we're in. I'm not saying everybody, because sometimes you're just tired. At the end of the day, the bucket is full. You got no more to give. You have taken it all, and the bucket is overflowing now. And so but when you can, acknowledging people, complimenting people, anytime you have a little space to do it, probably better.
And because a lot of what complimenting is, and why, I can't remember the guy's name, chose to wrote it as, affirmations, is you are, whether purposefully or coincidentally, affirming that person is in the in crowd from your perspective, that, you like having them around, which is why it pays also to compliment just people you meet in the town you live in. And, to compliment and be congenial with, the person, the cashier at the grocery store, or the bank teller, or just people you also see out shopping. Essentially, you're affirming this is a positive, safe space. No one needs to worry when, around us. Because we're always wondering, am I safe? That is truly the back of your brain. And anxiety is showing, no, your brain's going, no, I don't feel that safe. And one of the ways to feel safer is to compliment and see those compliments come back. Because when you compliment and when you give people positive affirmations, most of the time one of the first things they want to do is return. That they too also like being around you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is a great way to also handle your own internal anxiety. And maybe go, if I'm really anxious, is it because I'm not complimenting others? And I'm not hearing enough compliments as well? I mean, because really, you'll see people chill out a lot once you compliment something. If someone looks really grumpy, if you can compliment something on them, you will suddenly see their face brighten up and they will physically relax. And suddenly, they're not as much of a trouble or threat. We may have used this a couple times when, out shopping in questionable areas, or when we get lost in foreign cities. In the neighborhood, don't look so great. And you can comment, including, you look like the most competent person here, or the most together person who knows this area. I was wondering if you could help me. Started with a compliment. It is a great way to make people friends.
Yeah, what was it Dad used to say? Hello, sir or ma'am. You look like someone who knows their way around this neighborhood. I wonder if you could answer a question for me.
Mm-hmm.
That is what our father said. He was very autistic, y'all. But it's surprisingly worked both in America as well as international locales. I've never seen, like, when my father used it around me, I've never seen it not land well. The only time it kind of didn't land was they did not speak any English. They immediately went and got someone who spoke English to tell them, what did my father just say? Because it seemed like something they'd want to know. And then they're like, oh, yes, I do know this way. Now you translate and I will tell you how to get to wherever.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a pretty good line. That essentially was a cold conversation.
But again, you are affirming them in your initial statement. Because you're going, because what you're really saying is, I feel relatively safe around you. And that is why I want to converse with you more. And people respond. I think it's something else we forget about a lot is, it helps smooth things over so much. But yeah, we probably all do not give or receive nearly enough compliments. Which is why, we tend to joke on this channel and on Twitch about compliment bondage. Of, oh no, not the compliments. Everyone stop. I can't handle them. Because, also we're not used to receiving compliments either. And a lot of parents of ours were not very good at giving genuine compliments that felt like they liked
No,
what we
instead
were
they were
doing.
backhanded compliments.
And kids notice that.
Mm-hmm. I really believe it is a lifetime skill to know when to stop talking. Like, say the nice thing and then stop. Don't then offer a critique. Like, just say the nice thing and leave it. You do a critique later.
Separate them by time.
Yes.
Possibly distance. Go to a different place.
Oh. Do you remember Mom would call us over to the kitchen table?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I knew it was about to be a performance review.
I'd say the best times we could get compliments out of our mother was usually at a restaurant or in the living room.
I do not know from what you speak. I did not get compliments from our mother. I got compliments from our father, and Tom got compliments from our mother. So just to show you, our parents really did not know how to do this with same gender. Oh, thank you, Bonnie. That's a very sweet thing to say, or type, whatever.
Yeah, we did end up going over not just positive affirmations and compliments, but also like how to be close with someone.
Well, I think it's important because part of compliments and words of affirmation is effectively communicating. There's a lot to communication. There's a lot more to it than just you say some pretty words and you move on with your life. Like, are people happy to stand close to you? This matters if they're very distracted with perhaps odors. They're not paying attention as closely to the words you're saying.
Does your body language communicate that you are happy with them?
How about your facial expressions? Are your facial expressions undermining what you're saying? These things also are important to effectively communicate. And then what is the content of the words you're communicating? Are you complimenting things people don't have control over? Maybe that's why the compliments aren't landing as well as you might hope. Like, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was very common to only compliment females' appearance. Girls like, oh, you're so pretty. Oh, you're the prettiest girl here. Like, excuse me, I have a brain. I'm trying to accomplish things, versus boys were often complimented on what they had accomplished. And I yearned to, it got to be where I started hanging out more with the boys in the hopes that I could get compliments on what I accomplished rather than compliments on my appearance, because I didn't buy my own clothes. My mother purchased my clothes, and my mother and I have very different sense of style.
Yes.
Also, she purchased things that she looked good in. And my mother and I did not even have similar skin tones. And so the things she looked good in, the color she looked good in, looked really awful on me. So that was also part of it, was I did not like my appearance because my mother dressed me, essentially. I dressed myself, but my mother picked everything and did not listen to my feedback or me begging, please let me go with you when you're buying clothes for me. So even when I went with her, she still would not purchase the things I wanted. She purchased what she wanted. So I did not appreciate compliments about my clothing because, again, this is not what I wanted to be wearing. I would rather never be caught dead in these clothes. One day I'll find the pictures and I will show you all pictures. And you will see. These are not good colors. I don't look good in magenta. So there is also that about sometimes it helps if you have a momentary conversation with somebody about something where you're essentially, what you want to compliment them on, but you kind of need to feel them out a little. Like, would they welcome a compliment about their hair? Or is the hair the thing that they like to ignore, that pretend it doesn't exist because it lives its own life attached to them? Like, here's one. Probably not a great idea to compliment someone's toupee, even when it is obvious they are wearing a toupee. But perhaps they are, in fact, a toupee salesperson, and they would love a compliment like that because they would love to tell you about their product. You just don't know till you have a minor conversation with them, and perhaps they'll drop that they, in fact, sell toupees. Then you say, oh, I thought that was your hair. Is that, in fact, a toupee? It looks fantastic. And they could say, well, no, actually, that is my hair. But here, let me show you pictures of the toupees I sell. Or they'll say, it is. I'm so glad you said so. Here's my card. Let's see. Bonnie says, I remember a time I was forced to wear this ugly brown shirt when I was 7. I'll never forget it. Yes. I feel
My
that.
dad had a girlfriend that on a sewing machine sewed these 2 matching dresses for me and my sister. And my sister and I were not dress wearing people. I think we were like 7 and 8 or 8 and 9, somewhere in there. Definitely, I was not 10 yet. It was before I was 10. But it was like, my dress was yellow background with all these like brightly colored flowers on it. It had like shoulder pads in it, and it was not pretty. But we wore it because it was a gift, and she worked hard on those.
Yeah.
When I was in youth theater, 7th grade, my costume for the play was an orange dress. And I would find out later that that was when my thyroid started to not function right. So I had gained a lot of weight. I looked like a pumpkin.
I saw the picture. I would go with butternut squash, but yeah. Like, oh, you were not that round. But you did have a gourd
that picture that I showed, that was 2 years before.
Okay.
The costume I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did stand out, I'll say that. You did not disappear to the background. Absolutely not. Nope.
Yeah, my mom made that one when I had to look like a Japanese girl.
My mother used to think that I looked great in drop waist dresses, and I disagreed.
Oh, Tom's hiding his face from the memory.
Yeah, because he was there and he saw how I looked like I was wearing a sack of potatoes. That I was like a purple patterned sack of potatoes.
Yeah, drop waist is for when you have relatively no waist. And Glory, by that point, already had a very obvious waistline.
Yeah.
And so it was a battle that the clothing was not winning, and just no.
My mother was still very much trying to hide my form. Puberty started early for me. And my mother was very much wanting me to still look like people not to notice that I was no longer a child. And I just knew that I looked like potatoes. I looked like potato in a dress. It was terrible. And also it wasn't very comfortable because the waistline, since it was dropped, it clung to my hips, my ever increasingly widening hips. So it was physically uncomfortable to sit in a dress in these dresses, these drop waist dresses, because also they were not cut well for my body.
Yeah, because don't forget, Glory also had a lot of torso.
Very long torso. Like, to this day, it's actually hard for me to find one-piece swimsuits that fit because they are not made for such a long torso. And many of them will try to slice me in two. And it's like, no, I do not want wedgies.
My daughter has a really she has no butt on her, okay? But she's also very tall, like her torso is very tall. She is about up to here on me. I'm 5'3", so she's pretty tall and no meat on her bones either because she eats like a bird, but not really, but it seems like she does. But last year, when we did swimsuit shopping for her, she wanted shorts on the bottom. She didn't want a one piece because they give her a wedgie, like you said, and she wanted like a sports
Yeah, like the
bra
sports
or
bra
tank top
top.
type.
Mm-hmm.
We almost had to cave and get her a one piece, almost. But we finally found one at Walmart. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. You can wear it for like a couple of years because you never grow. You know what happened? She started developing in places. So she hasn't worn it in a couple months because it's been cold around here. I'm like, we might have to go swimsuit shopping for you again. And she hissed at me like the cat that she thinks she is because she hates going clothing shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, it's either you or go clothing shopping and try on swimsuits, or you don't go in the pool because you got little boobies growing now. Sorry. They're not that, they're barely noticeable, but.
Yeah, but like,
but they are.
Yeah, like you need a little padding there because when you get out of the pool, they get cold.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you need a little padding, otherwise all the boys can't stop looking, and it's Jen says
Bestie's
my mom was very specific about what she bought me, and that didn't change when she took my daughter shopping once. I went along for moral support, and not a lot was purchased that day. Good for you defending your daughter.
Bessie's oldest was one of my junior bridesmaids, and she was so tall that she was too tall for girls, but not developed enough for juniors and misses.
Oh, yeah.
That's my daughter. Like, it's that weird in-between stage.
Yep.
They ended up finding a Mrs. dress that she liked, and then Grandma took it in at the top.
Yep.
And then she wanted to wear it a year later for a school dress-up day, and I was staying because Bestie had gone to have the last baby, so I was watching the other three kids, and she goes to get this, and I zip her up, and gets the top, and it's a little tight, and I'm like, do you have another dress you can wear? Nothing that's clean. Are you going to be okay? Can you breathe? Yeah. You sure? Like, it zipped, but I could tell that she was a little, like, like, are you sure this is going to be okay? I'll be fine. I'll be okay. I'll just be really careful. Like,
getting that, that full 19th century Victorian feel. And understanding why they had fainting couches.
Oh, no.
Like, if you didn't have to be out the door in 10 minutes, I would have done some laundry.
Yeah. Or gotten a steam ripper out, maybe.
Yeah, I just realized, though, one thing we didn't really talk about the use of compliments for, we kind of talked around it, but just to say it directly, but it's to ease that that parts that, people might feel shame or embarrassed about, we don't feel that they need to feel that way about. We also use compliments as a way to help ease someone else's embarrassment, and they're not sure about how the rest of the world's going to see them about this. And because no one likes being judged, especially no one likes being judged negatively. And our compliments are another way of telling others that they are safe here, that this is fine, this is not anything to be judged on, and anyone who is judging you, well, they have bad opinions.
I think that can be a tricky area, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody's already self-conscious or sensitive about an area, it can be difficult to communicate that without making them more self-conscious. So it's definitely one that, for me personally, like if somebody asks, does this make my butt look big? Usually my first question is, I thought, aren't big butts good? What's going on? Like, I could have sworn we like big butts. No, just me. Okay. But if it's like, no, I mean, like, too big, like, is that a thing? Can a butt be too big? What are you
I
saying
think
about
the
my
better
butt?
question should be, is this too tight on my butt?
And again, is that not a good thing? Like, I thought we liked that. No, okay. Like, what are you going for with this outfit? Do you just want me to say you look nice because you look nice? But I feel like, where are we going with it? Is it too tight? Like, how tight is it? Too tight? Can you sit? Because if you're asking, is this too tight? Go sit, and we'll find out real quick, won't we? You'll know if you can't sit, or if you can't breathe while you sit. That I can't answer that question, but you can. Go sit down.
I mean, I'm definitely reminded that, thankfully I've seen, like, this is drastically improving in Gen Z and especially Alpha. I'm not hearing this as much, but that having internal judgments based on a number of, like, I'm literally just too many inches around for this or something, versus, like, yeah, the real question about those jeans is, does my butt look good in this?
Mm-hmm.
Does it shape? And it's like, no, it's flattening the top. We've got to find you a different design. It's not helping you. Or, no, it looks great. We're going for round, right? Love it.
What is the desired shape here?
But like, how many inches around does it make it look even, bigger around? Like, what does that matter? Is it proportional for you? Yes. I don't see a problem here. Versus, yeah, remember in the 80s when, like, it was all about a number. It was all about a, did you go past societally acceptable literal size, versus how's it on your body? How's that shape?
Being terrified about the going from Mrs. to women's, because that's where all the frumpy stuff was.
Yep.
I don't want to wear grandma clothes.
Yep.
The good umpire waist and the bad umpire waist.
Yeah, we'll go like clothing shopping and stuff, like to the clothing area. And my daughter, she's like, Mom, you should get this. And it's like the gramiest, like, pattern. It's not even like the cut. It's like the pattern, like, illy. I would not wear that. Why not? It's so pretty. It's purple. It's your favorite color. Yes, but not in that pattern. She's like, okay, how about this black and purple stripes? No, not going to wear stripes either. Not polka dots, not flower. Like, no. It was like a really ugly, like, bronzy brown and then purple and black. I'm like, no.
You're talking about
Like,
those
you know what you should do
Target?
is go to the juniors department and get the largest size possible, because then I can fit that. I found out. Yes. Get the largest size possible in the juniors department and I can fit it just fine. And there, there's not any like Grammy looking patterns there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like a lot, like clothing, often it is like, how is it cut? Is it at the right points on your body? Like, yeah, I was showing Glory a lot of problems with people and blouses and shirts and stuff is, are the arms at the correct point? Because if the seam on your shirt, the arm is not actually at where the joint in your arm is, then yeah, the sleeve will always look a little, casual. Also, it'll move funny and it'll bunch up the fabric. But if you get that seam up exactly where your shoulder moves, it'll always feel effortless, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so smooth." It always looks ironed. And it's finding those clothes that are at the right points, and if they're not, nope, will not work. Nope. And yeah, we can't all wear the same patterns.
No.
That's the hard lesson, and as we've seen, a lot of people's parents never learned that
Or the
one.
same styles.
Nope.
That's what I like about the trend with like bridesmaid dresses now, is a lot of them, instead of you have to wear this particular style from such and such a store. My sister did this, and then I did this too, is here's a color, find whatever, here's a preferred length, find whatever is in your style, your budget. If you find a dress at Goodwill, good for you. And you paid $5 for it, cool. If you want to go to David's Bridal and spend $200, that's on you.
That's what I did when we got married 5 years ago. I said, okay, we're getting married outside, so probably something thin, but whatever you guys want to wear. Cover your butt, cover your boobs, and I don't care what you wear. Like literally what I said. And they all followed it. One of them got a different color dress than everyone else, but for the most part, everyone did that, because I'm like, if you're gonna buy a dress,
my sister's, it was all black, but for mine was blue, and I let them get whatever shade, because my sister was like, I am getting the darkest shade that is closest to black, because that is all I wear.
Yeah, the one girl that got a different, it was like an old navy blue, so it was almost black, but she's like, I couldn't find anything in my size. But I was like, I don't care. Like, wear whatever you want at that point. I wasn't like super particular about anything else. I said, wear a blue color dress, whatever you want to wear. Because if you're going to buy it, you might as well like it enough to wear it again.
Right. And then we did the accessories, like, would tie the look together. Like, they all had white flowers. I got them all matching necklaces. Like that, those little touches to bring everything together, but be comfortable.
I know. I've seen much better looking bridesmaid sets in the last couple years, thanks to that trend of, here's the color, here's a swatch, or here's a paint chip for you. Everyone gets a paint chip. Will it work with this? That's your job. Now find something you feel comfortable and you look good in it.
Yep, that's what we did. I think that's much better than making someone spend like a couple $100 on a dress that they're never going to wear again.
And don't listen to anyone at a bridal shop. No, you don't need a butt bow.
Oh God.
They're still trying to pitch this. No.
Butt bows work if you have no butt. If like water could just slide off you, then a butt bow is visually something there, I guess. But if you have a butt, you don't need to augment that with enormous frickin' satin bow.
If you've got nature's butt bow, a butt that sticks
then
out,
you don't need manufactured butt bow. They didn't look good in the 80s. They still don't.
I did look out when I was in my cousin's wedding, because I was a freshman in high school, and we got all our dresses at JCPenney's. But then it was a very nice homecoming dress the following year.
Again, truly talking about some parents just don't get it. Like Jen's like, that's another thing about my mom. She would always take me to the section of the store for older women and always told me I didn't dress my age.
Not a fan.
And there's the teenager working on self-control as best whatever they've got left to not go, what age do you think I am?
Right? People always thought I dressed too old because the only things that were in my size was at Catherine's in like the old lady sections. So, yes, I was a teenager who looked like I was going on 60. But at least it was comfortable. Anyhow, next week I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I got to be honest with y'all. If we don't figure out what we're going to talk about, the answer is memes as a love language. I know we talked something about like the Greek versions of love, like agape love.
I was pitching since we brought it up in every episode this season,
Okay.
why don't we just continue of what are the other things kids need to mature? Including like, how do you play?
So you want play?
Yeah.
What is that? How to play? Okay. Let's be honest here. How are you going to tell adults how to play? As somebody who's actually taught adults, how's this going to work? They don't listen.
That's why we're going to talk about it as stuff for kids, and so they don't feel challenged, and then they go, I can integrate that into my own.
You're going to come around the corner. They never saw me coming around the curb.
But as we keep pointing out, every one of these kids need. They don't need just one of these. They need all of these.
And as you know, nobody outgrows child and adolescent psychology.
So let's talk about the other few things that also people don't think about, but are essential for kids. Like the worst thing they've done in the last 2 decades for kids is they took away recess in a lot of these schools.
Yep. And every single time they remove recess and all the other recesses, you see an absolute uptick in bad behavior, in disruptive behaviors, in disrespectful behaviors, because children need to play, they need to physically move, and they frankly most likely need some fresh air too. Like they just need to get away from those desks. Even if they're just standing around going, let them go mill around outside. Let them mill around.
But yeah, and as adults, you still need it. You still, one of the biggest health indicator behavior-wise of are you going to die at a younger age from inflammation and heart disease and all these other first world problems? The number one indicator: do you sit for more than an hour at a time, or do you get up and move for a few minutes every hour? That's it. It's not that you go run or you're exercising or anything. It's just, do you regularly get up and just move around? All of a sudden, the body doesn't have nearly as much trouble. It's true for kids. It's true for adults. And also, you've even seen kids when they play on their, the consoles in front of a TV, they're still moving. They still wiggle.
That is true.
Now, adults kind of forget to wiggle.
That's because we insist children learn how to sit still, and they finally accomplished it as adults, and it turns out, no, that's how you die sooner. Quit sitting still.
Yeah.
The better you get at sitting still, the faster you will die. That is why I embrace my hyperactivity. Y'all notice I do not sit still here. You could tell because this thing's always wiggling because I'm always wiggling. And at every break, I get up
Mm-hmm.
because hyperactive. It's what's keeping me alive and youthful. But yes,
Yeah, I just want to talk about the many ways to play. Like, play doesn't have to be organized the way you always hear about it. You have to sit around and be playing a board game, or we're playing. Like, there's so many ways to play, and kids show us this, and it's stuff we sometimes forget about. Maybe they had a point in the movie Hook about Peter grew up and he got too serious.
oh God, the true tragedy.
But yeah, it's like I want to talk about the other things for kids. And since none of us ever get out of being a kid, growing up is a lie.
It is a fallacy we tell children in order to teach them to sit still.
There's a shirt right
You
there.
can quote me on that one. Put it under Glory Said with your ever-growing collection. Tom literally has a file, and it's like, 10 years now of just random things I've said.
Redbubble shop coming soon.
So that is what we'll talk about next week. Play. It will extend your life. It is wonderful. It is fantastic. And it is part of love.
I plan on at least being in the chat on Monday. We are going to a brand new location. We haven't been to this location at all in Texas. So we don't know how the lovely internet gods will shine down on me or not. So
good point.
We are moving there on Wednesday. So I'll definitely know before Monday whether or not you will see my pretty face or not. Or, my okay looking face. I don't want to assume it looks pretty.
Oh, come on, Steph. You know you're easy on the eyes.
I feel a little awkward. I have dentures. Everyone knows I have dentures. I've talked about it. But one of my real teeth up top, it had a cap over it, and it came out. And because I'm an adult on stupid state insurance, it's not an emergency, so it's just out right there on this side. So I keep on trying to turn my face that way because it's right in front. And now, because that tooth is missing, I'm starting to get a gap in between my middle teeth. I'm just going to embrace it.
A little. Yeah,
I'm just going to embrace it. It's fine.
You just look like younger now. You've got the full, 9-10-year-old little, gap look.
See, the tooth's gone right there. So.
Although really, especially if you're on camera and you're talking, no one's going to notice because we always have shadows on either side.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It was like, it just looks like shadows and not really noticeable till you do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but I don't really smell that big.
Yeah, regular talking, I think no one will notice.
I didn't even notice I was getting a gap in between my front two middle teeth up top until my husband's like, "Hey, did you lose another tooth?" I'm like, "No. Why? Rude." He's like, and so that's how I paid attention and saw, because I don't have a tooth right there bracing the top teeth on both sides, that I'm getting a little bit of a gap. It's all right. It's cute, right?
Right. Jen says, I learned in the last few months that sitting and writing all day is not good for me mentally and physically. I have since reduced writing hours and started doing some gig jobs to get out and get fresh air and make money.
What kind of gig jobs? Are they legal gig jobs? I can't say. That's a really hard word to say.
Are you asking her to incriminate herself?
No, I'm just curious. Like,
no, she's asking for advice for herself.
For a friend.
Right, no.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of jobs did you find that got you out of the house? I'm really getting curious.
Oh, Steph, here's in a truth showing here's how to how do you show people now you're fine with us and all that. I'm having fun pointing out. I'm not entirely sure it's still current, but I know at least up until 2 years ago, there was a major trend, like in an awkward way, in Japan to look younger, especially women, and if some men were literally having their teeth jacked slightly to look more younger, so they would have like that uneven look, including putting gaps in the front teeth.
Wow.
Yep.
And here you're just getting it naturally and just upset, and feeling embarrassed. We're just thinking about all those Japanese people that really want this look.
Paid for it. Yeah.
It's right there with all those people that want Glory's curls. And Glory has no respect for them.
No, that's not it. I don't. It's not that I don't have respect for people who want it. I understand.
No, I meant for your own curls. You have no respect for the
you didn't
curls.
say
in your
what.
hair.
It sounded like I didn't have respect for people who want.
Okay. No. I was
Who
talking
like
about
my curls.
you
It's
have
like,
no respect for your own curls.
No,
So
I'm absolutely
my sister used to have curls like you, Glory. They were like like the Raggedy Ann doll. Like it was that curly, Raggedy Ann curly. But now, if you see her now, she has no curls left anywhere in her, unless she goes. Like once in a while, they might. If she goes in high humidity, they might come back a little bit. It's because she spent hours every morning of high school using a real iron on her hair.
wow.
Like she would wash her hair. She missed half the day of school. She would take her hair, wash it, brush it out, lay it on a towel, and then put another like thin towel over it and put on high heat until our stepdad one day randomly was like, "What are you doing?" Because he walked upstairs to see what the hell she was still at home and not at school one day. And so he's like, "Here's $20. Get yourself a darn hair straightener. Stop using that iron." But now it's just thick like my hair, but she has a lot of it. And so, yeah, she doesn't have curly hair anymore. So maybe you should iron your hair and then you'll get rid of the curls.
I mean, like, Steph, remember, I lived through the 80s and 90s. I remember the flat irons and the crimpers. And I tried them out then. And here's the thing. I live in South Mississippi. The humidity.
Oh, yeah. Just kind of
right back. So the only way is like you have to like practically shellac your hair in Aquanet.
You have to really risk aqua lung.
Yeah.
I thought about like getting myself a hair straightener to like straighten my hair, but I'm like, is that even going to be worth my tired, horribly sore arms of me straightening my hair for hours because of the humidity? Because even when I lived in Oregon and I would curl my hair with a curling iron once in a while, it would maybe hold for like an hour. So would a hair straightener really make that much of a difference?
I used to go to a salon where I knew the hairdresser personally. Like we would go party together at parties in my 20s. And so when I would go to get my hair cut, she would then be like, "What do you want to do? What do you want? Do you want me to style it?" And I'm like, "You could do whatever you want to it." So she wouldn't charge me for styling it. She'd just do what she wanted. Like, because let's be honest, if you're a hairdresser, you probably got into hair because you love playing with it.
True.
And most of the time when people go to hairdressers, they already have an idea of what they want. So hairdressers never get to do what they want on people's hair. So that was pretty much the agreement we made is like, I don't have to pay for styling and then you style it however you want. No matter what you crazy thing you want to do, I'll go along with it as long as I don't have to pay for it. And so like, yeah, sometimes the various hairstylists would like flat iron it and coat it in silicone. So it would stay straight for a couple days and everything. And it looked nice and all, but like I actually, because I have this big old diamond head face that's very large, having very flat hair, I just don't think it looks very complimentary because it makes me look kind of like a pinhead because I got these enormous shoulders. So the volume actually kind of helps proportional me a little bit. But yeah, like I've had straightened hair. It's okay. It's just, I don't know. It just didn't, it looked so odd on me. Also, because like they could get it really flat with no volume whatsoever. And so it just hang. And it's like, it did look disproportional to me.
Glory grew up in the 80s and does not believe in no volume.
That's right. I believe in volume. Oh, she looks so unhealthy with her like straight hair, you know, like it needs volume in it. Yeah.
If you ever see the movie Final Girls, plural, you will understand the joke, Glory, where Glory's coming from.
So, Stephanie.
DoorDash, Uber Eats, pet sitting. Okay. So totally legit gigs. Okay. I would say what kind of is legal or illegal as a joke. That's all. You know, because sometimes I'm nosy and I try to play off my nosy questions with a joke sometimes. But that's how I get to know everybody, by being nosy.
Although I do love, like, there's the goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that. I do the same stuff.
I've considered trying like a DoorDash or something like that so I could quit the nursing home job. But the problem is I have a lease. So I am limited on miles.
Ugh. That does put a real damper on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to wrap things up for the day. For those who would like to join us in the Discord server, the voice chat, we will be in the clubhouse in about a half hour where we hang out, play games, write, do whatever. It's sort of like study hall. So if you'd like to join us, you're welcome to. If you've never been part of our Discord before, there is a link down below in my link tree at the bottom. You click on the link tree at the bottom of the link tree. There's a link for a Discord invite to the Unicorn Council Discord server. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.